Welcome back to
N.E.R.D.S.
I'm your host Lucas, and joining with me is my co-host
Zackary.
And today, Zackary will be needlessly, endlessly ranting dumb shit about
the ethics and we'll just say the ethics of questionable DLCs within video games, and
I have a lot to say about this.
What that can mean, and is it right? Is it not right? What do we see companies do? We'll get into it when we start the episode.
Okay, understood. I was very interested because I didn't know what this topic was because I thought it was going to be another one that we'll probably do later. So hearing that, I'm like, I know exactly what we're talking about now.
Yep. Yeah, it's something that we'll talk about why I've been thinking about it recently, but other than that, let's begin with our how are we?
You know, it's been a couple of weeks because circumstances.
Yeah, it's been I think at least 2 weeks since we've met for the pod.
For the pod.
Yeah, we've seen each other last week.
Mm-hmm. But I guess if I'm starting out, I'm fine. Being creatively driven. Have worked on more N.E.R.D.S stuff, which I have been super, super happy about. Very close to having a playable version.
Which I'm excited about.
So excited to have it to that point. The last few things I really just need to get down for a semi-playable version is just like how I'm doing weapons and spells.
Yeah.
And then the 6 races I have to finish up.
Yeah.
So.
And then we're gonna. I still think it's a good idea to make a fillable PDF.
Mm-hmm.
That way we don't have to write it. Because it's got, what, like 46 skills?
Something like that.
Or, you know what we could do, if we're smart, we take a picture of it and then we should go to the library and print it out a few times.
You're not wrong.
Either way, the fillable PDF would be...
It'd be cleaner than me, just sketching it all out.
Yeah.
Like I have
But it would just
been.
take a lot more time.
It would.
Because you have to, make boxes on then what can be filled.
I just need to learn how to do that.
You mostly just bring it to a PDF style, and I think there's within it you can just create text boxes within the PDF. That way when you send that PDF out, it like you see with the normal documents, that's that blue box, and then you can type in the PDF.
Yeah.
So it's not hard. Yours is mostly just gonna be numbers, and then it's just making the box fit the little circles you got. So
but yeah, very excited about that. Other than that, actual life stuff. I don't know, I pee blood.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so I have a history of kidney stones, as you very well know, because you've taken me to the emergency room for 2 of them.
Twice.
Yep.
One more time, I'm just gonna
I know.
Castrate.
Just
remove it all.
It wouldn't stop the kidney stones from happening. It comes from the kidneys.
I'll remove the kidneys.
There we go.
Like Mortal Kombat, just rip them out. I'll just punch you and they'll just explode.
Oh my god, I wish. I wish I could live without kidneys. So
you could for a short while.
For a very short while. But yeah, I have a history of kidney stones. I've had 3 at once before. I've had them multiple times throughout my 25 years, and I think I just started peeing blood, but there was no pain. So I just think I had, it could have been either, it probably could have been a UTI or something else.
But usually UTIs burn.
And I've not felt any pain.
So
it's literally just I'm going to the bathroom and there's cherry lemonade come out instead of regular lemonade.
I'm just pissing blood.
Yeah, I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? But that last pee, I had a twinge of pain within the region that made me think, nope, that was a very either small kidney stone or just one that did not bother me by any means. So,
could have just nicked a little sidewall and then just started bleeding.
That's what I think. But
Hell yeah.
I'm not bleeding anymore, not for the past 3 days.
God is real. God is good. God is with us. The prayers have been answered.
I know it's just mostly our family members right now, so I'm not going to say the things I want to say.
I got no one on my side watching this, except my boyfriend. No, that's good. Anything else going on for you?
Oh God. Working, just doing my thing. Trying to save up some money, so I can have some kind of vehicle.
Yeah.
But I also am trying to get some documentation I need to get my ID renewed and all that.
Yeah.
Which I did fill out all the stuff I needed to, but then the website that I got to get like a new birth certificate is asking for more documentation from me.
Yeah.
And was like, this thing's invalid. I'm like, come on, dude, just get me my birth certificate.
My boyfriend is trying to, because he's done his name change on almost all legal documents except birth certificate, and so I can't remember what started it, but he either called somewhere or he went somewhere and they're like, oh, you're going to need a court order so that way we can like change your name on your birth certificate, even though it's like on his ID and like social security, everything else has changed. But they're like, you're going to need a court order. And so this was, I think, like last week or 2 weeks ago, after the last time we talked with N.E.R.D.S, goes to the court and they're like, oh no, you just need to like have a letter of approval from yourself. Like you just need to write that you like accept the and he's like, what? So yeah, birth certificates are fucky.
They're so weird, and I get it because it's like, you know, an identity thing. Like people, they don't want identity theft to happen.
Yeah, and
so,
it is technically the first form of identification you receive. It's not like a social, which is later, or like this is like the second you are born, they fill out this identification. So it is like the last resort to your identity.
And I get that. But I need
come
it.
on.
Yeah, but come on. I need it for other things that are just of, if not more important than this piece of paper that just says where I was born. Come on.
Yeah.
Anyhow, getting into that, trying to figure that out. Other than that, just trying to progress, trying to move on, trying to keep pushing forward. How about you? How are you feeling?
I've had a rough 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We didn't do N.E.R.D.S last week because of work. We did construction and all that shit, so I was just exhausted.
That construction work that you talked about is the most infuriating thing.
Oh yeah, I won't get into it. But yeah, it left me exhausted to the point where I was like, I don't think I could. I could probably have done the episode, but it would have just been me sitting here mumbling.
Like you just weren't. Your heart wasn't in it.
Which I think it was my episode.
Yeah.
Which is mostly also why I was like, hey, I don't think I can. But other than that, that week wasn't terrible. We had Cyberpunk. I think we did Dragon Realms, or did we skip Dragon Realms?
No, we did Dragon Realms.
Did we? What did we do last session? Because I know this week we did the fight, which I'll talk about in a second. Was it?
There was just travel.
Yeah.
We had the dragon. It was the dragon swooped by the Iron Dragon after it did its call.
You guys
which was so goddamn cool.
You guys got to see some Dragon Raiders for the first time. You've got to, because I think I've shown a Duke before, but I don't think I can't remember if I have or haven't shown a Duke. I've shown Knights.
You've talked about Dukes. This is the first time we've ever seen one.
And you guys got to see an Iron Duke, which are like the sons of the kings,
which was very cool.
Oh yeah.
And he was very polite. I think it was because I moved the cart off the road.
Yeah.
But he was polite. He waved at us and like moved on his way. Like, I was like, all right, cool. I was not expecting that.
I mean, you guys are deep within this territory. It was one of those fun things I was getting to plan. I was like, all right, if they move the cart, he's gonna show he's gonna do a wave of appreciation. If they don't move the cart, here's a list of dialogue to scream at them. No, I was like, they'll probably move the cart.
I knew as soon as I knew exactly what it was as soon as you started describing it. I was like, I moved the cart immediately.
But I was like, they may not. They may choose to hold ground. I don't know how they're, and I don't want to be caught off guard with the Iron Duke being like, hey guys. I'm like, no, I want to have a set line of dialogue that you could say. But
for sure,
it was super cool. And then you guys got to.
I fought an owlbear.
You survived an owlbear encounter. I don't think you fought much. You survived it.
No, I fought my damnedest.
You did. Almost killed you.
It did.
Luckily,
I should have just taken the shot instead of calling for help.
We learned the great
blunder.
lesson of never in real life is it feasible to announce your attack.
No.
That's just it. In any of those like medias where someone's screaming as they run up, I hate it. But
it wasn't necessarily that. I was literally whistling to call for help because I didn't know how far away I was.
You also could have fired and then whistled. Could have been like, bing, bing.
Yeah, that would have been smarter.
Yeah. No, the whole encounter could have been smarter.
Yeah.
But no, that was fun. And then we.
Okay, but how cool would it have been if I soloed that fucking owlbear? That was all I'm saying.
If it wasn't an owlbear, you most likely would have been able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like planning this. I was like, there are very few encounters I have not set in location, but set an idea of like, okay, if they're in a forest and they go deeper, I have like there may be some centaurs or there may be like an owlbear. Like these are dense forest within the Green Dragon's domain. His whole thing is the forests themselves are innately filled with
fae.
Not even fae, just uncommon creatures.
Mm.
It can be fae, it can be aberrations. It's not really a spoiler, but because I don't know if you guys will get to it, but I have a encounter planned in the Green Dragon's forest where you guys will find a lake with just a straight aboleth in it. Like, his thing is that his magic just innately populates the forest of his lands like mob spawners in Minecraft. It's just like random things will pop up that you're like, you shouldn't be here. And it's like, I am.
The aboleth was a surprise,
which is
interesting.
Yeah, which is why the merchant guild becomes more of a monster hunter guild in that land.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been fun to play around with, like, you know, cockatrices and like weird creatures like onkegs that, like, yeah, they might be there, but why are they here?
For sure.
In this world.
It's very interesting.
It is very interesting. I've been enjoying figuring out how each dragon, the natural magic works within this world.
And I imagine the reason, because we're within the Iron Dragon's domain.
Yeah.
I imagine the reason why everything is completely stone and not real, like, plant life is because the Iron Dragon's influence.
Most likely.
So, like, because for an entire region to be nothing but mountainous and stone, like no plant life whatsoever.
There are grass.
There's grass, but there's like no trees or
no shrubbery.
No shrubbery or anything like that. That's weird.
When you guys get to Krimda, you guys are going to also notice something that's going to be very fun to get to. And get to discuss and talk about. And I am so excited. It is an idea that I played around with, and I almost built a campaign around that you guys did build characters for, that I scrapped, and I have been able to reuse some of those ideas for this upcoming main capital. So I'm very excited to deal with it. But other than that, this week was fun. We got to do a really cool combat encounter where, like, I put a map, essentially 90 degrees, and we fought.
You used a painter's easel for that, right?
It's like a table drawing easel.
Yeah.
I've owned it for a couple years. It can essentially adjust, and it can almost go 90 degrees. So I taped the map onto that and, like, onto the table a little bit.
So goddamn cool.
And I built little, like, cardboard
platforms,
and then they fought essentially like Bahirs, but more of like Drake salamanders. I modified them a little bit more. No, it was a super fun combat encounter. I've been saying I wanted to do more physical combats, and that it's been fun because it's just going around the apartment being like, all right, what props can I use? Like, I covered a bunch of cups and like sauce dishes and fabric swatches to make like little rocks and all that. So it's been fun.
Okay, here's the thing though. I'm about to fucking get rid of this hand crossbow because the range is so abysmal.
It is, but it lets you keep a hold of Agni.
Of Agni, which
otherwise you're gonna have to sheath her and lose possibly your range.
Right, and that's the problem. It's very cool. I love my hand crossbow and my sword system that I got going on right now because I can have 2 rights activated. But the hand crossbow has shit range.
It's got better than anything else that's going to be one-handed.
I know. That's why I'm debating getting a fucking light crossbow or heavy crossbow or something.
I don't think it'd be an issue, but I think unlike me, in your last campaign, I played a lot of Hunter. You love to activate that right immediately.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was a bit more cautious, like, well, if I'm going to have to drop a weapon or switch, I don't know if it's going to be melee or if it's going to be range. Like, combat starts and you're like, I'm activating my right. And it's like, great, this is all range combat now. And you're like, fuck.
Because in my eyes, it's better to have it and then not have to use it than not have it and then be surprised, by something and then not have it.
It depends. We've seen both where you've activated it, not used it, and then had to just sheath the weapon, and then there was no point, and you just took damage.
For sure.
But it's very funny.
It's the immediate reaction.
Yeah.
Because his sword is his main way of, fighting. Yeah. So his immediate reaction is to pull his sword.
Yeah.
It's not to pull the crossbow. So, this is leaning more towards, hey, I should pull the crossbow first most of the time now, because most of the time it's becoming ranged combat.
At least while traveling. Because while traveling, it's rare for you to stumble upon an enemy within 5 feet of you.
Yeah.
It's going to be, oh shit, I see them 60 feet away. It's a fucking, it's a bunch of gnolls. I'm not going to wait for them to get up to me to initiate combat. We're going to start combat now.
Well, yeah, no, but usually I go to them.
Yeah.
Is the way I usually play.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just also very used to playing melee characters.
Mm-hmm.
So having to rewire my brain to think more range tactics is not usually what I go for. So
I love it. It's not... I've been enjoying playing around with it because it's not fully I'm building this combat for range. It's more of just enemies aren't going to stay still in my map.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's like, oh yeah, they're up next to you, they're going to move.
Yeah.
They're going to move pretty far away, or they're going to bury, or they're going to use a legendary action to shift.
For sure.
I'm moving around combat,
mm-hmm.
which means a lot of our martial melee people have to also move. And they're like, but I just want to stay here and hit.
It's not... I never complain about that. It's more how to get to them after.
Yeah.
That I am like, how the fuck? Because we have a lot of verticality.
Yeah.
For a lot of the combats at the moment. So.
And I'm going to play monsters towards their strengths.
It's sure.
Something that... I saw a TikTok where it's a lot of DMs just see a cool monster and then just throw it on a map and be like, alright, have a fun combat, and not think about, hey, this creature is a real creature. It exists within its world. The way that the stat block is built is how they are supposed to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
A bird on our bird feeder.
Oh.
And so it's these are, the salamanders you guys fought, bury within the mountain range. They have ranged combat.
For sure.
Why would they go up and initiate melee combat if they could just pick you guys off?
Mm-hmm.
And my one little stipulation to that was the Drake salamander, which is what I call the big brood mother, essentially. I gave ability of whoever was the last person to hit its young is who that creature initiates melee combat on. So
for sure,
a part of the stat block forced it to not just stand there and fire off lightning bolts.
And it would not have been as bad for me if I didn't immediately get pushed off after climbing the cliff by Nathandrel.
I'm also, I think the party needs to be a bit more communicative. I'm like, hey, you're the only person with flying. Can I maybe hop a ride on you?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a lot of combat starts and none of the characters think about each other, and it just is we're on our own. And it's no. I built this combat with in mind that Nathandrel has flight, Keone has a climb speed,
mm-hmm.
Fleabag can wild shape into climbing animals, and Ajax, though technically can't climb, has a crossbow, and I build combat specifically for him. Or any of those three can hit you right on Nathaniel, and it's not a big deal. Combat started, Nathaniel fucking zips.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's not necessarily that, like, you know, we could communicate more. That is a fair point. But Nathaniel just kind of goes sometimes.
Possibly, you were first act. That's the fun part is, like...
Well, I was first act and didn't know what the situation was.
True. You did see 3 salamanders attacking 3 guards on the wall. Like, you see Nathaniel flying. It's something that we see a lot in D&D combat, which is once combat starts, players have a hard time talking in character to each other because they're so focused on combat.
For sure. And it's a thing of, in reality of the game, combat, each round is 6 seconds.
Yeah.
So how much can you get out in 6 seconds?
Yeah.
How much are you going to think in 6 seconds? You know, while the players have a lot of time to sit there and think and talk,
yeah,
the actual characters don't.
Yeah.
So, to me, it's a thing of figuring out, like, what the character does that can also be related to the other characters, but within those 6 seconds.
Yeah.
Because then it just kind of turns into, which I'm perfectly fine with. I've done it in different campaigns. It just kind of turns into a war game of everyone is already talking about their strategies to each other, and there's no real reason for the characters to talk.
True, but we haven't seen that in the last 2 campaigns we've played in, which is most of the time our characters don't talk with each other, or even player-wise. It's very, I'm doing my own thing, and then that's kind of it. Which is why I've been doing more of the, hey, if you can flavor with each other, flanking is a bit more of a thing, which has opened up to more of a, hey, can you move this way? I just got to start getting it more into in character.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, Nathaniel, you can't... Our friend that plays Nathaniel likes to, out of character, be like, can you move just 5 feet a little bit more so I can get flanking? I'm like, maybe if Nathaniel can do that in character, then that's that's where I'm wanting us to go more.
And I think that's literally just being upfront and being like, hey, talk in character more when you're, like, if you want something to happen, talk in character.
Yeah.
Which is a very fair statement to say.
Yeah.
I know for my campaigns, we didn't do a whole lot of that because my campaigns were about I did a lot of arena boss fights, to be fair. And they were about working together, but also, like, figuring out ways to affect the boss differently.
Yeah.
So, and how the boss affects you guys differently.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the role play within the combat, it was the actual strategy and tactics.
Yeah. And I'm trying to get more role play within it, which is why some of the guards were like, hey, is he good up there? Like, you know, it's weird as a DM to possibly just sit there and be like, all right, no one's talking in an environment which was, if this was real life, we would be screaming at each other like,
for sure,
hey, I need help, hey, are you good, like, come back down here.
And again, I think I see your point, and I think that's just more of a, hey guys, you guys are playing characters in combat. It's not just, you know, not just you there. What would your character actually do in combat?
Yeah.
Like, they would be screaming, crying out, all this stuff. Yeah. Like, because I agree. If it were us, I'd be telling everybody, hey, get behind me, do this, do that. Like
Nathaniel, you can't be the only one up there fighting.
Yeah.
Like, calm down.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, it's...
And it's a good reminder. Because when, you know, you got to be used to giving reminders a lot.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a lot of times where we are going to be so hyped up, we're focused on what we are doing, that we are going to need those reminders of, hey, talking character, blah, 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 blah. I've had to remind you guys a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And it's hard to also be reminded as the DM to be like, oh, fuck, we're not doing enough, like, in-character role play.
For sure. And that's just because we're all in it.
Yeah.
And that's the most important part, is that we're all in it. But anyhow.
But yeah, Dragon Realms has been fun.
Obviously, because we just talked about it for like 30 minutes.
Not even, we've only been recording for 24.
Not like 30 minutes.
And I'm very excited about the up-and-coming session / session 2. We'll see how far we get. We still got like 6-7 more days worth of travel.
Because we saved one of those guards who is like a Dragonborn paladin.
Not Dragonborn.
Oh, human.
He's human. Dragon. He's a Dragon Knight.
Dragon Knight,
which is
Dragon Knight paladin,
second ranking on the Dragon Guilds.
Which is good because honestly, having save a Dragon Knight going back to the capital of the Iron Dragon, puts us already at a good standing with the place. So
like, we haven't quite gotten to explore it yet. The ranking within the Dragon Guilds of like, you all can technically join the Dragon Guild. It's like, it's not really a mercenary group, but it's a guard group where it's like, hey, pledge your loyalty to this Dragon King. You become a scale.
None of us, I don't think any of us have ever thought of that.
We, in the previous capital, I wasn't quite the focus I wanted to deal with yet, because we were dealing more with like two characters trying to get something back, you know. Yeah. You trying to fix your sword, one of our players trying to get his wings back. And I was like, the dragons, not so much, but we're moving into a capital where the Dragon Guild is kind of going to become very important. And so it's hey, you guys now have an inn, though not very like top of the top inn, because there are dozens of knights within the capital, but it is still like, hey, I saved a knight, he might be able to pull some things for me.
For sure.
And it's cool.
It's cool. I need to think about other goals that Ajax can have, because I'm realizing that he has literally only one goal. Yeah. Which is to fix the enchantment right now, and that can kind of be from anywhere.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like, no, this guy has to have more on his plate than just that.
Yeah, he has to. At least when we built Ajax, it was like, hey, he has amnesia, so what is he doing? It's like, well, he wants to see the world, he wants to explore, he is a monster hunter by nature, so fighting cool new monsters and like taking notes and writing shit down.
And I think I, as Ajax's player, I think has just kind of forgot his wanderlust. Yeah. If that makes any sense. And that's on me.
But it's easy to do when you're in a character's mind. Because with Cyberpunk, I forget there's the whole list of like, who are you? Where are you from? Like, what's something you, like, an object you hold very close to you? Like, you do that in Cyberpunk, and D&D, at least the app that we use commonly, has the, like, personality traits, ideals, bonds, flaws. And I'm like, oh yeah, those things hold us to an idea of standard of like, Ajax, at least when we built him, didn't know his backstory or his life before this incident, so he's going to have a personality based on his new life. Yeah. Which is to fucking just explore.
And I very much learned I am a very in the moment type of person. Yeah. So my head is always in the moment. Yeah. So it's hard for me to look beyond the moment. So it's hard for me to recognize and remember plans that I have for these characters when I'm in the moment, feeling my feelings right now. Yeah. And that carries over to every character because every character is me in some sense. So
that's why I like writing out my character sheets, the bond, because it's the physical. It's like the bonds, ideals, flaws, like writing them down and then like underlining certain key moments. Like my old characters, she followed the ways of change, and there was a lot of moments I would forget that. But there's also like, it's on my character sheet, I can read it and then be like, okay, now she is a bit more than just this.
Yeah. And I think it is also me trying to figure out how he interacts with the group as well. And just the group has changed a lot of his priorities. Yeah. Because he cares so much about these people. He's grown very attached to them. And does not want them to get hurt or die. Yeah. So he has become very protective and overly cautious because he's been protected. Because these are the first people, other than like the nice couple that kind of took him in, that have shown him actual kindness, actual reassurance, and have been through the most with him.
Yeah.
So his priorities right now are to help them, if that makes any sense.
It does.
So it's
just funny because we are currently on the path that is your story.
Which is funny.
It's like, my priority is to help them, but we're doing my thing right now.
Which, in my head, is not exactly what we're doing. Because every time that we've been like, why are we going to this place? It's like, well, yes, I want to fix my enchantment, but there's also an information broker for Fleabag. Like, Ajax is
Keone.
For Keone. Fleabag has a personal friend there.
Which is the information broker.
Which is the information broker. Maybe we can learn more about these, fragments there.
You were just doing everything in your power to explain every other reason they're there. The only reason we're going to Crimda is because it's the only place that can fix your enchantment.
Yeah.
Fleabag made that, because we did I know a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were heading that direction for you, Fleabag then made a character in that direction for Keone.
Right. But again, it is turned... How he sees it is turned into, yes, we are going here for this, for me, but my priority is not exactly for me.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
My priority is to help them as much as possible. It's weird.
It's so weird.
It's so
weird. He
weird.
refuses to acknowledge his own actions in a certain way, that they're going this direction for him.
It's weird to acknowledge people's help, if that makes any sense.
At least not when I played characters.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a hard time being like, hey, we need to do this for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the only, I will help you. I mean, I did it with our old campaign, Amnistry and Sylvana. I will drop everything for you. We will do this for me, though.
Mm-hmm.
We will go hunt this person soon. It doesn't have to be now, but this needs to be done for me.
Yeah. But you're also a very different person than I.
No, yeah, it's very fun. Ajax feels very much like, hey, if we get to it, can we maybe stop and do this for me? It's like, if you guys want to, though, we don't have to. It's like,
Kinda.
we're kind of only here for you.
Mm.
Who knows if this person's going to have any information for Keone?
Yeah.
It's just a historian, that's it.
Kinda. But it's a strange thing to... I know for me personally, when people, give help, or ask for help, I need to have something in return for that.
Yeah.
You pay for my lunch, I'm paying for the next lunch.
Yeah.
That's just a thing that's going to happen, and that we're not going to argue about it.
Yeah.
I have a hard time accepting help.
Mm-hmm.
Or acknowledging that I need the help. So my way of covering it is by making it to where you helping me is an exchange.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just find it very funny. Because Ajax feels like he's just really pushing his own goals down. Which I think is where we're getting to the underlying issue of you're losing sight of Ajax's overall, wanderlust and excitement about being a monster hunter and exploring the world. It's like, everything that I am gets pushed down because someone else needs something. It's like, alright, buddy. You'll have to fix that.
Anyway, therapy session over.
But yeah, no, Dragon Realms has been so fun. And it's... I want to play more.
I know.
It just takes hours upon hours to plan. In Crimda, that's a two-parter.
Mm-hmm.
I have to build, essentially, 2 separate things for that city.
We also just have limited time.
We do.
The problem.
And it's where... Crimda is such a big part of the beginning, but it's also there's so much more after that.
Yeah.
And where you guys go is going to be a very, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And to be fair, the group is the one who decided to go to Crimda. I don't think Ajax honestly argued about it.
No.
He was just like, Crimda has where I need to get my enchantment fixed. And the group was like, alright, let's go. I was like, okay, sure.
It was essentially the, either we go right on the map,
Mm-hmm.
and we do everybody else's thing, and it'll take in game 6-7 months before we ever come back left to do your one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like, okay, we're gonna do the one thing first before we loop around and do everybody else's thing.
Yeah.
Because it is like the only thing on that side of the map.
And I honestly won't lie, as Lucas, kind of forgot that the only reason we were going there was for my thing.
Yeah. It was like the whole, like, hey, this is the only city that'll be able to fix an enchantment like this.
Like, I totally forgot that was just for my thing.
Yeah.
Because at least I had brought up multiple times about the information broker, because I felt that was more relevant.
It was such an offhanded comment, too, of, like, one of our players, the person that plays Fleabag, was like, hey, I want to use my I know a guy. I know a historian wherever we're going that could maybe know something about this. And it's like, great, I'll plan this. And then you really were just like, that's the only reason we're going to Crimda.
Mm.
It's like, no. Quite literally is just, like, plan 6B in the part that we're going this direction.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very funny.
I think it's just because Ajax finds Keone's story so, like, important.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Because he does care for Keone, but also because the idea that this entire place is dying is a, like, okay, what can we do to fix that, like, now?
Yeah.
Kind of situation to him. Because it's like, if an entire civilization is completely dying because one thing is missing,
Yeah.
by God, why isn't all our, like, fucking energy going to this one thing?
Yeah. Because it's lost.
Because it's lost.
Because no one knows where it is.
Right, so the most important thing is Fleabag, while yes, it was I know a guy, this person might know the information of where that one thing is. So it's like, okay, that's the closest lead to helping thousands of people.
It's a very interesting situation.
For sure.
Because Keone knows where she needs to go, going in the opposite direction. And then it's the idea of, like, no, she has years to do this. It's slowly killing off people, but it's such a fun. And then for Ajax, in a sense, to just completely put his whole arc aside, which is fixing his sword, his only tie to his backstory, and just be like, nah, it's not that big of a deal. I did everything in the beginning.
So it's definitely not like he's like, it's not that big of a deal. He so desperately wants it.
He's just not showing it.
Exactly.
Which makes it seem like he's not really like, nah, we can do Agni later.
Right. But that is because already he's accomplished way more with these people than he ever thought he could.
Yeah.
So he wants to repay the debt.
Which is funny because it goes back to just how you think. No one really did much for Ajax.
But that's just how he thinks.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather not feel like I owe somebody.
Because, like, Ajax fixed Agni on his own accord. Like, everybody did the contract from the Thieves Guild, and each got something separately. Like, no one was like, I'll do this for you, Ajax, and get Agni fixed. You got to the blacksmith yourself, figured out what you needed, found out who could give it to you. You all did a quest that got them each separate things for their own things.
Man, I don't know what to tell you.
Like, no one really helped you, so I don't know who you have to...
I'm just feeling the feelings that I am. Emotions are weird and they're hard to explain.
It's just so funny that you're like, I have to owe everyone back, even though no one really did much for me. Except just fight along, but also I helped this person get their wings back, and this person figure out where the book is, and this person figure out who could buy their contract.
Well, man, this is where I'm at. It very much is I feel like I owe.
Yes.
And I think it's more because when the vision was shown.
Yeah.
You know? I'm sorry we're talking about this so much.
I'm not. It's a rant.
But
the whole fucking part of this podcast.
I know. But the when the vision was shown, and you know what it is? It's an excuse because he's so attached to these people right now.
Yeah.
That's more what it is. It's not like the owing somebody is less of a like, oh, I actually owe them, and it's like, I just really, really enjoy and love these people right now. I have to do everything I can for them because, and it's weird. It is because that vision showed the worst possible thing for him, which is I fucked up, became a traitor, and got so many people killed.
Like 200.
Like 200 people killed.
Your best friend murdered in
my
front of
best
your eyes.
And from what I know, I can never go back to that place, no, wherever it was. And it is really just it is a strong attachment because he has nothing else.
Yeah.
So that's more why he feels like he owes them, is because he's like, I literally have nothing else other than you guys. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure you guys feel special and unique and like everything that you do is worth doing.
Yeah.
Because I am nothing without you right now.
Yeah. We just go about it in such fun ways.
Yeah.
Because that's how, at least your campaign, that's kind of how my character was, just on a slightly different energy. Of like, essentially the same feeling, but instead of being like, none of my stuff matters, I'll do whatever you guys need, it was okay, I'll do what you need, we do have to come back around to do my stuff, but we'll do your stuff because I think it's the most important right now. Ajax just feels like, no, forget it. No, I don't matter.
And it's not. It's funny because it's not that. It's that he's. It's that he's more forgotten his own self-worth.
Yeah.
Because he's so attached. He's put everyone else on a pedestal.
Yeah.
So.
And we got a group where it's at least two of the other characters won't put you on a pedestal.
Nope.
Nathaniel and Fleabag will be like, nah, you're just there.
I think Nathaniel would be like, hey, we're buds, we're cool.
Yeah, I don't think he's putting anyone on a pedestal.
No,
though.
definitely not.
He'll stand next to you. I don't even. Keone might.
I feel like Ajax and Keone are probably the closest.
Yeah, but like no one's putting anyone up except kind of Ajax.
It really is.
Which is just. But yeah,
it's a little unhealthy.
A little.
But it really is like, imagine like. You woke up with nothing.
Yeah.
You have this material thing, which is a sword. And you want it fixed because it's the only thing that you know that is part of you. And then you meet these people who accept you.
Yeah.
And appreciate your skills, appreciate what you do, and actually give you kindness when everything else has been terrible.
Yeah.
Then they also see, not just you, but they also see that from your memories that you were an awful person back in your life.
Yeah. Not true. You did something fucked up. Doesn't mean you're an awful person. They saw you do something that you don't know, which apparently was a bad choice and made you a traitor.
Yes.
They also saw the genuine fear and unknowing in your character's eyes of like, even in the backstory, you did not know what happened.
For sure.
So it's not like you were a horrible fucking person that was going around stabbing people.
But he still doesn't know what he did.
No.
And what that, what he did or what he could have done could have led to something, it did lead to something horrible.
Yeah.
So, he does have a lot of self-blame for that. And then they go off and like, hey, it's okay, we don't judge you anything for it. We still want you around, we still care for you. It's like, okay. You have my life. Like, you've literally seen the darkest part right now. You have my life.
Yeah. It's not hard to, because Nathaniel's doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, your story is the same as Nathaniel's, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
Horrible fucking backstory. Something happens. He comes down. And I say his fuck up is even worse.
Oh, absolutely.
And you all were like, it's okay, Nathaniel. have a lollipop. Just sit down real quick. We'll get you some clothes. We'll get you a mess kit. Just come on with us. We'll fix it. Mm-hmm. Everybody has. At least 3 of our characters are tying a very similar story, which is at least you two, something fucked up happened, and you guys are starting a new life. Mm-hmm. And you're just trying to figure out what is going on. Keone didn't do it herself, but is in that same boat of like, something fucked up is happening, the flame is dying, my people are dying, and I'm having to do something I've never done before, which is leave my home and explore an unknown world. And you guys fully accept her. You guys haven't questioned her like motives.
For sure.
Fleabag is luckily our outlier, which is the flip the story. I am going to do something fucked up, and we'll see how it turns out. Mm-hmm. Like, he's a couple steps behind you guys, leading up to his big, either really bad or really good moment.
Which we're still accepting and trying to help with.
Yeah.
Which is... It's a very interesting dynamic with this party. That none of us have been, like, on each other's ass about any of the stuff that we've gone through or been through, or have done.
It's because I was smart when planning your guys' character and building it with you guys to not make those actions easily damnable. Mm-hmm. Like, when I first sat down with everybody, it wasn't like, oh yeah, I murdered 36 people and I just chose to take a new life. Like, I was like, it has to be something that is an ethical question. You don't know what you did, so how can you be blamed for it?
And I think it's interesting that we're about to speak of ethics, but
yeah.
Like, I do think it's interesting that like we, as a group, all were not questioning whether we were good or bad people or not. Yeah. It was like, no, you're a good person. You might have done something fucked up,
yeah.
but you're still a good person.
Your actions so far have deemed you good.
Yeah.
Until you start acting bad, you can't. Also, when the action in question itself is out of your hands, or at least out of your current hands, like Ajax lost his memory. It's not really. He didn't really do it. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know what happened. And Nathaniel, his whole splitting the sky apart and opening up the realms, he didn't actively do. Is the action itself fucked up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, strangely, this story is about identity.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Ajax literally is trying to figure out what his identity was. Nathaniel is trying to figure out who he can be in this new world. Mm-hmm.
Keone has never stepped foot out of her home for 18 years. And
is trying to find herself within this journey, while also save her people.
Yeah.
And Fleabag knows who he is and knows who he wants to be.
Yeah.
So, but is feeling the consequences of being that person.
Yeah.
So this is very much a story of people trying to find their identity.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I find it so fucking ironic that our group name is The Nameless.
I love it.
It's so wonderful, because for a group who so desperately needs a sense of identity, the fact that they call themselves the Nameless is just so funny.
It's also why I don't think it'll ever be seen in the campaign, but it's why I was so excited about each of the Dragon Kings having such a strong identity, is because, you don't know who you are. What happens when you get to the Iron Dragon's domain, explore its people, and really connect with them and go, this is who I want to be. Mm-hmm. You hated the Bronze Dragon because it was capitalism, it was mercantilism, mm-hmm. It was consumerism, it was just money, and that's what his people were, and it has worked very well for them. And so each Dragon King is such a strong personality for the hope that possibly you guys might attach yourself to some of those like ideals. It's like, yeah, it's why I started with the bronze is because it's an easy concept for a lot of people to hate, which is everything that needs to get done is behind money. It's behind a paywall. It's behind, pay me this amount of money, and I'll give you this information. Or, hey, you need this, it's this amount of money. And we are now moving into a new identity with the Iron Dragon, which is barter, it's craftsmanship, it's making new things, it's a people that are stubborn to a fault, but not in a bad way, but in a way that's like, this is just who we are.
For sure.
We're not going to change for anyone.
And, I know we talk about Ajax and Amicia a lot and kind of compare, but I think it's what is so funny about them is, like, yes, they're two blood hunters and, like, are being played very differently, because Amicia, like, was finding an identity, but she was handling it herself.
Yeah, because we were just in a world that was very loose. It was like every town we went to was just kind of there, existing naturally. It didn't have a very intense cultural, like, iconography or, like, pattern to it, so it couldn't have been like, oh shit, I really fit with these people. It's like, okay, well, everything I am questioning is just within myself and my friend group, and one of them's worshiping an evil god, one of them has forsaken their gods, one of them just fucking flips back and forth, and my other friend is dead.
Well, the reason for that was because I wanted the story to be about you guys find yourself, like, yourselves, and become the people you want to be.
Yeah.
Not the world helps shape you kind of thing.
Which is what I'm finding in this campaign. It's impossible to find yourself with no influence. You have to have something to look towards, because then how are you supposed to find yourself? Yeah. That's the like, this icon is what made me this way, or like, this person has always been kind and caring, and that's now how I feel. So I'm getting to play around with majority of the times you're influenced, and who you are is crafted by the people you grow up or at least see in your life.
But Amicia very much felt like they already kind of knew who they were, in a sense. They at least knew their principles and stuck by them forever. Like, that was never going to change about them. Ajax is so deeply insecure about who he is.
Hey, Amnesia. I mean, Amnesia had a good foundation of, like, being a druid, having a set way, like, the ways of change. And so when Amnesia just had to get rid of the top layer. Yeah. Ajax is just a top layer and no inside. Like, he has no core.
And it's why, like, I know we talked about it before, but it's why he fought the owlbear the way he did. Yeah. He's deeply insecure. He wants to prove himself, because his sense of identity as a monster hunter was being challenged. Yeah. Because that's where the top layer is. He has nothing else out of that top layer. Yeah. So, like, get rid of that top layer. What is he?
A person.
He's a person. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. But he right now is so deeply insecure of, like, if I can't prove that I'm a monster hunter and I'm good at what I do, then what the fuck am I? Yeah. That's why he fought the owlbear so stupidly. Yeah. It all comes back to that.
Yeah. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy where, like we said in your last campaign that you ran in, we were excited for Amnesia to gain confidence in herself and to stop worrying. I'm excited for the point when Ajax realizes that monster hunting is not a personality trait. That cannot be who you are defined as. That is a job. And yeah, you can be good at a job. You can also be bad at a job. It is not a personality trait that you can you can't be like, I'm loyal, I'm kind, I'm a monster hunter. Like, that's not how you describe how someone is to the core.
For sure.
But he is trying to do that. He's trying to build his core around a job title.
Because it's the only thing he knows. Yeah. He's got nothing else. It's funny what people attach to when they don't have a foundation. Yeah. uh, he's attached to everyone else and this job and all of that because he has nothing else.
Yeah.
It's just very funny.
God, we could talk about this all day.
We absolutely can.
I love this campaign. So your weekly obsession.
I feel like we just talked about it.
That's true. It really has been. Those last 2 weeks. Because we're hitting an integral part. We're hitting I don't want to say the end of Act 2, because there's not been much of Act 2.
Mm-hmm.
But we are hitting like the middle towards last part of Act 2.
We're getting to the climax.
Yeah, this is the part where like in the campaign where things begin to shape the rest of the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if this is set very loosey-goosey, you guys don't have much to do, that lasts through the entire campaign. And so I've been thinking very much like, okay, how are the characters going? What do I want, you know, this next really big arc and climax to be?
Mm-hmm.
And how will it drive the party forward?
I think this just might be a thing to keep in mind. We do have a lot of characters that are more quiet characters who kind of keep to themselves. It might be good to introduce an NPC that we can kind of talk to, or at least brings us out a little bit, if that makes any sense. Because there are some like underlying issues that I feel like the group needs to talk about that we're not, because we're playing a lot of like close to the chest characters.
That's what I'm hoping with Ishtosh.
Yeah.
The Dragon Knight Paladin you guys have just met. I'm hoping for him, because we didn't get to introduce him very much, but he is a freshly promoted Dragon Knight who you guys have just saved his life. And so he's going to be, not in a stupid way that's like, I owe you my life. He was very careful not to say that, but he's like, I owe you a great deal. Like, without you guys, I probably would have been dead. Like, I'm going to do everything in my power to help you guys. This next session will be less of like, alright, you guys set up watch. What do you guys, who's taking first watch? It's going to be more of Ishtosh being like, who are you guys? What are you guys doing? Like, I'm heading here to obviously drop off a bunch of supplies, which you guys have seen, but I'm hoping he is my NPC, because we didn't really get an NPC. Well, we got an NPC in Act 1, but it was Tylak, the Thieves Guild leader.
Which was much more cunning and didn't really feel like a person you could just go up and talk to.
No, I wanted a NPC character that's like, he might be able to travel with you guys a bit more. He might be able to help you in Krimda. Of like, hey, and it helps that he is kind of in the know of things. I find it easier for parties just trust people when in a sense they can immediately gain something out of that NPC. Because most parties aren't going to talk to a person that they have no ties to.
For sure.
At least, you know, and that's why a lot of people like the funny haha Boblin the Goblin. It's like, it's an immediate comedy. They can get something out of that. So I'm hoping Ishtosh is your guys' friendly. Because he's like 23, super young, kind of friendly and kind, but is also just like, you'll get to know him a bit more. He is quick to get himself into trouble.
I love it.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, because that's kind of what I've also been realizing with that the group desperately kind of needs.
Yeah.
And it's why, like, I love Ajax. I do not want him to die. But if he does die, and doesn't do the stuff that we've talked about before, why I would be excited to play Mari, because she is very much the outspoken, hey, what's going on? What's up? Blah, blah, blah. Let me help. Kind of.
But we talked about we can't do Mari in this campaign. Not with at least another player or two. It is already going to be challenging to play a non-damage dealing character that just buffs and heals.
That's fair.
And we only have 4 players.
I might play Mori then.
Your circus guy?
My circus guy.
Yeah, I think he would be fun.
Yeah, my circus Fae warlock.
Yeah, he would be super fun. I hope Ajax doesn't die.
I hope not either.
But the story, I've been very smart to not. The story is wrapped around certain players. It is not tied to certain players. Like, if we lose those players, the little loop is still going to be there. It just gets a little smaller and may not feel as significant, but it's still going to be there.
Yeah.
The story overall is still going to happen. I don't know. I'm in the flip of both. I love a character death, and I think a character death could be cool in this campaign. I've also seen the challenges of introducing a new character possibly so deep into a campaign.
That is fair.
We've talked about, like, it. In my eyes, it has to be done before the halfway mark. Because if you introduce a character after halfway through the campaign, there's not enough time.
Again, Molly-Mock will forever be one of my favorite characters, but I think he had to die because Caduceus needed to be there.
Yeah. And luckily, he was so fucking early in that campaign.
Yeah.
What, episode 24 out of 140, 130? That's when I look to, like, a character death needs time.
Yeah.
And, it's weird.
It's weird. But I'm definitely seeing, like, I hope that Ishtosh brings a little more out of the party. Because while they joke around and kind of fuck with each other and everything, they really don't talk to each other.
We don't have a heart, in a sense.
Not really.
And so, I think I'm starting to realize that as a DM of, like, okay, well, we've also been traveling, so it's hard to do NPCs right now, which is, I'm really setting up for Crimda to be your guys' big thing.
For sure.
Where you guys meet a lot of NPCs, you get to see a lot of cool things, and it is this, it's your guys' fucking, what's the city in Campaign 2?
Port Demoy?
No. The first one they get to.
Oh, God.
I don't feel like Port Demoy is that
Syndrome?
much. No, it's the big capital. Where they meet the gentlemen and all that.
I don't remember.
Wow.
It's been...
Big fan.
Are you kidding me? How long has it been? Do you remember?
God, I can't remember. It's the one
fake
city.
fan.
It's the
Fake
one
fan.
city.
Fake fan.
But that was the big city where it's like they became new friends. The whole story of this campaign really opened up.
For sure. Once we get to Crimda, I have no doubt that it'll turn that way. And even with Ishtar, I feel like it'll help. Ishtosh. Sorry, it's going to take a minute. But I have it written down, but it's just going to take a minute.
It's a fun... I was like, I want a dragonish name with him.
Yeah.
Ishtosh. He obviously has a nickname, but because I get to talk to him yet.
Because we just met him.
You just met him, and it was like, hey, can we travel? No, I'm really excited for him. And I've got another NPC that you guys are going to meet relatively soon that I don't really think it's going to go anywhere, but it's just a cute character.
Hell yeah, I'm excited.
At this point, it's like, do we even start talking about the topic? Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
All right. Ethics within video game DLCs. Now, there's two things I want to preset. One, we need to define what a DLC is, because originally I always think DLC is something else, but then it's obviously a broader term. It is downloadable content.
Yes.
It is defined as not a part of the main game, but it is side content that you can usually purchase and then download, and it adds to the main game in some sense. Normally, we see downloadable content into extra story content, where it is a new level, a new, story arc, a mini arc within the campaign.
A whole new way to play the game.
Yeah, it's, very classically Dark Souls or the Soulsborne series, where it is, a whole new mini world that you can get through, or a mini level, essentially, on top of the main level. We also see it where, it adds, I don't know what I was going to say with that sentence, but that's usually how I think of DLC.
Yeah.
Is like, okay, this game has been out for a couple months, they're releasing a new DLC, which is a whole new story, possibly. Cyberpunk did it. It came with a new level, a new story, and a new update on how to play the game.
Yeah.
They weren't completely together, but they were close enough to be essentially the same thing. What I usually forget that DLC can also be is just extra stuff.
Yep.
Which is
Microtransactions.
Not very common in the games that I usually play, the single player kind of games. They are more common in online MMOs.
Very high multiplayer shooters.
And
battle passes.
Battle passes. What am I thinking of? Like
I don't know, free to play games. Like,
I guess that's what I'm feeling. Like craft games, like survival games. I feel like it's very common to be like. I guess mobile games is a great way to say that. Of like
mobile games, yeah.
Like, oh, it's gonna take 3 hours, or you could spend this amount of money to gain like
fake currency,
and then the fake currency can speed it up. Which is a big question within the video game community: is the ethics behind microtransaction DLCs?
It's gambling.
It is gambling.
I'm just gonna say that straight up. It is full on gambling.
Yeah,
and I am not going to go to bat for microtransactions at all. I think it is one of the most money grubbing, stupid things that the game industry has ever done. And it's not even just the game industry does it nowadays. That's where you see it most commonly.
Yeah.
But you see it in other phone apps a lot as well. I downloaded this silly face app that I really like, but all the cool, really fun face things are stuck within a paywall.
Yeah.
It's ethically, I think it is terrible.
Okay.
I'm just gonna put that out front there.
So you are against microtransaction DLCs?
I am against specifically microtransaction DLCs. Other types of DLC, it really depends on the amount of content that you were paying for. If that makes any sense.
Yes, and we will get to that statement a little bit later, because I want to tie that into the increase in pricing we've seen in video games recently, where now games are $70, $80. We'll talk about the pricing of content versus the amount of content you get a little bit later, because I want to talk about the one game I'm thinking of.
For sure. I do want to say...
You go for it.
And I think I know exactly what game you're thinking of.
Most likely.
I do want to say, we are not experts by any means necessary.
I am. I have a PhD in DLCs.
Sure.
I went to college for this.
But yeah,
this is just our opinion.
This is just our opinion. I know a lot of people hate microtransactions and DLC, but this is something that I think is good to talk about.
Yeah.
So,
my stance is I think they are justified. Because they are still around. Microtransactions would not be around if no one bought them. The reason they're still there is because there has been a justifiable number of people purchasing microtransactions for companies to think they can still do it.
But the reason why they're still around is because they get people, like gambling addicts, addicted to the gambling portions of it.
True.
And then people waste a ridiculous amount of money doing Counter-Strike loot boxes.
That is true. That is not really the game, I would say. That is the ethic of the person. It's the thing of, yes, there is a difference between consumer and demand. It's the thing of, is the consumer wrong for demanding it? And is the producer wrong for giving the demand? Both are equal in ties. If there is a demand for something, someone will create it. So if microtransaction DLCs were never a thing, gamblers would still find another thing to gamble for. It doesn't stop the fact that gambling is a thing.
But it doesn't make it right.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying it's justified. Justified does not mean right. I think ethically, gambling is a personal choice. If I've had someone explain this to me in a very good way, it is their choice. Yes, it can be an addiction, but if it's not causing them harm, if they are just doing it because they find enjoyment out of it, money is not something you can deem how people spend. It's the same reason of if someone really likes every Sunday going and getting a bunch of lottery tickets, you might call that a gambling addiction because it's happened 50 years in a row. It might be their one thing that gets them through the week. It's, I think gambling addiction is thrown around a bit too much, because the point, or at least normally how addictions are, is they're supposed to be harmful. That's the whole point of an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
There's no good addictions. Very rarely do gambling addictions hit that level of harm to actual people.
No, I very disagree on that.
And that's a personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of people who enjoy gambling and who gamble a lot, but it hasn't actively harmed people. You can healthily gamble. I'm not saying there aren't unhealthy. There's many, many unhealthy gambling addictions. I think it's, in my eyes, often overused in how it's said. Of just, if people really enjoy opening up loot crates, what makes that harmful?
No, okay, so the difference between, somebody who's going out and, has an extra $1,000 and is going to spend $1,000, that's different to me than somebody who cannot afford to spend that $1,000 choosing to then go and gamble away that money. And when you look at people who do have very high gambling addictions and are in incredible amounts of debt because of those gambling addictions, when they do win, they don't care about their wins.
Yeah.
They care about gambling again.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a problem of, I don't disagree in the sense of, there are healthy ways to gamble.
Yeah.
And, gambling addictions, there is a difference between, going out and choosing to spend $1,000 because you have that extra money.
Yeah.
And then going out to spend that $1,000 because that you cannot afford because you are so addicted to just getting that money away.
Yeah.
That is very different in my eyes.
They are.
So I understand why you say it's justified. I just don't agree with it, if that makes any sense.
Fair.
Because what makes it justified is that, yes, while this is a thing that people are still doing, and yes, it can be fun to see the flashing lights and the colors, and the loot crates can be interesting to see, and people getting excited about what they win is fun. I get that.
Yeah.
There's a whole game, Vampire Survivor is a whole game that is based around, slot machines.
Yeah.
And the excitement of that. And it's one of the most popular games out there right now. Obviously there's a demographic for this.
Yeah.
That does not give the right for companies to specifically target gambling addicts.
But how are they specifically targeting gambling addicts?
Because it has been shown...
That's the thing, is you can't say they are specifically targeting when they just add those things. I'm not saying majority of the time those companies are money grubby. That is never going to be unquestionable in this argument. They will do whatever they take for money grubbing. My argument is that it has existed because people want it. And that's not something you can really fault a company for when it's human nature. That's my argument. I'm trying to figure out how to word this.
Don't feel like you're having to walk on eggshells.
It's the ethics question. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's the reason why I'm addictions exist in any form.
Mm-hmm. Anyone can get addicted.
Anyone can get addicted to anything.
I can agree with that.
But those are not, the people that I don't want to say primarily use those things. They are.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a difference between if you look at your demographic, what we tend to focus on are the addicts, because that is, for the most part, 100% of their life, compared to the other majority of the demographic, which is, oh no, I may have spent the same amount of money on this content, but I'm doing it for fun instead of for need.
Mm-hmm.
They are still the same amount of money if you look at it, the same amount of content both being bought and used. It is the individual itself which is determining how that is looked upon. It's the same reason, not to tie it to a slightly darker topic, but like drinking. Like, I may have spent the same amount of money as someone who may have a problem on it, but it is the individual itself who's determining whether that is good or evil in cultural eyes. I may drink every single day because it helps me at the end of work, and I may spend the same amount of money as alcoholism or someone with alcoholism, but that's not really the company's determining whether that's good or bad. That is the person determining whether that's good or bad.
I think, so what I think defines whether an addiction to something becomes a problem, because, there are plenty of people who are addicted to sugar.
Yeah.
Or addicted to, dopamine. Like, dopamine is a hard
adrenaline.
Thing. Adrenaline, dopamine, Addiction, I'll agree with this. I don't think addiction should be thrown around as such a bad term all the time. Because, I get passionate about games a lot.
Yeah.
You could say I'm addicted to certain types of games.
Yeah.
You genuinely could. But if the addiction is specifically harming you or people around you, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So it's the problem of I'll go back to loot crates for the example
because that's a great example of DLC content that is just you can quite literally gamble.
That's literally is
it's slot machining.
So loot crates, and not even that, they're you have to pay real money to get fake currency, then you then spend that fake currency to buy these loot crates and then hope you get the thing that you want to get.
Yeah.
That to me is some of the most scummy shit you can do. Because why can I not just go into the game and I would be perfectly fine buying the item. It's like buying a skin.
Yeah.
I'd be perfectly fine just buying the item.
Yeah.
With my own money instead of having this loot crate system.
Yeah.
Why do we specifically see loot crate systems? It's the loot crates are made to make people spend more money.
True. But, at least the game I'm thinking of loot crates, Overwatch. Because I know CSGO, I think, does loot crates.
Yes, CSGO.
That's the big one I think that is mostly seen. I never got into it, so I think more of Overwatch. Most of the time, if we think of it in the actual game standard, those loot crates are given as rewards for playing the game. That's how Overwatch does it. Hey, you ranked up, you leveled up to a new level. Here's 3 loot crates. Oh, you did this mission. Here's a loot crate. It is given as a reward for doing things, and then the fun part is, hey, it's chance. Let me see what I get.
That's fair. But is the chance going to be fun for everyone? The fact that I can't... I personally don't find loot crates fun. The chance to me, I like rolling dice, sure. But if I want a specific item, I just want to get the specific item.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to spend or get a bunch of free loot crates in the hopes that I get the specific item I am trying to get.
Yeah.
Because, fair enough. I get free loot crates, but I just want this one item. I'm then spending all of my free loot crates in the hopes that I get this one item, never get it, and then the only other way I can get it is by spending my money on way more loot crates.
Yeah.
Instead of just being able to purchase the item that I just want. Whether that be a specific gun, a texture, a costume change, or something like that. And that even goes into, are the ethics of the like buying skins that Fortnite does and everything like that. Fortnite's a free-to-play game. Cool. Is it ethically good to make it to where everything cosmetically you have to buy?
My thing is that if it doesn't, the only time I see it as unethical is when it is pay to win. And it's why I personally got out of Magic the Gathering, because that to me feels like a microtransaction type of game where it's just I have to spend money to play the game and to be good at it.
The only reason I am even playing Magic the Gathering is because I am receiving cards for free from people who want me to play the game.
And that game, I've never really thought of it like that until I started thinking about this episode. Feels like this. It's just like, hey, we have a new DLC coming out, which is a new bundle, like a new box of like, oh, we're doing Lord of the Rings now. Spend a bunch of money in it.
But hope you get the card.
And hope you get one. But what makes that much worse is that is tied behind powerful cards that win,
for sure,
level balancing. None of the stuff that are loot crates change the game. So
it can. It depends.
Depends on the game, but that's what I'm saying. Skins, cosmetics, the way specifically with Overwatch, which is mostly skins, and like spray paint emotes. None of that stuff changed the game. So how can it be unethical for someone to want to buy a fun cosmetic? That's my difference, is when it is locked behind you being able to complete the game or to complete the game easier. That's when I have a harder issue with that. It's why my line is drawn when it comes to cosmetic, or this is going to take in real time a day and 24 hours to complete, or you spend 6 emeralds and it can be completed now. That's where I feel like it is unethical. Whereas you actually have to pay to play the game. When it is just, hey, I really want this cool cosmetic skin, and the only way to get it is a loot box, and it's like, well, that's the part of the game. They're in a sense saying, hey, play my game more. Yes, you could technically buy things, but that's what got me playing more Overwatch, which is I really want this cool Zenyatta skin, so I'm going to play Zenyatta a bunch, level up, play more like ranked games in hopes to get the cool skin, and then the more you play, the more it narrows down into, I've gotten everything else, now this loot crate can only give me this.
That's only if the cosmetics don't stack.
That's true. I think CSGO stacks, doesn't it?
Oh, almost. Overwatch seems like to be doing it the best out of almost every other game that I've heard in loot crates. Like TF2, which is a game I personally love.
Oh yeah, I forget TF2 does that.
Yeah, TF2 has loot crates, and I fucking hate them.
Yeah.
But what I think TF2 does better is they allow you to just buy the skins and cosmetics from their store.
Which Overwatch does let you do that too.
That's fine. I more argue the loot crate system in general.
Yeah.
Because not only does it fuck with the addiction to gambling and blah 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 blah, but it also fucks with just I want this one skin, but I have like 90 of these other fucking skins.
Yeah.
Of this one particular skin, I have 90 of this. Yeah. And I can't do anything with it. I can't sell it. I can't do anything with it to try to get another loot crate or something like that.
Yeah.
No, I just have to sit here with 90 of these fucking skins.
Yeah.
And hope for this next loot crate that it's the next one. But nope, it's just going to be another one of those 90 skins that I have. That's what drives me up a wall. Because that's when it becomes the most money grubby part. Like, that's my line. Is TF2 and Overwatch, like, by playing the game and getting loot crates, fair enough. Yeah. I'll allow that. That's fine. You can even buy loot crates on the side. Okay, fair. Because there's a different way to get it. But so many of the games that have loot crates, the Star Wars game, Battle Watch or something like that. Battlefront. Loot crates out the galore.
Yeah.
And it is the main way to get like. It's the main way to get actual fucking content is to buy
and
crates.
that's my trait is when actual playable content that changes the game is locked behind loot or locked behind purchasable DLCs. That's when I have the issue. When it is just cosmetic and there is no effect to the game, that is supposed to be the enjoyable part. You know, you hate it, and we've talked about this before, but you hate pay-to-wins. We've had this whole conversation within Dragon Realms, how you felt like you were just locked behind paywalls. I understand that's a you thing, and it makes sense. But if it does not affect the game, then what is so wrong with people wanting to spend money on it? It is their choice to do that.
It is. I just know there are a lot of games where me and my friends are super excited to play the game.
Yeah.
Then they start getting on it and they really want me to get on. I'm like, alright, I'll get the game and I'll get on it. And then everything that I want to do is locked behind either paywalls or loot crates. And I'm like, I cannot afford nor want to get any of this stuff.
Yeah.
But my friends are having a blast and moving on. And so I'm just going to continue to play my single-player games.
Yeah.
So, to me, it also bars the amount of stuff that I can do with my friends.
Yeah.
So, when that happens, that's an even worse feeling.
100% I agree. When it's... As much as I love the game, it's why I've taken a step back from Helldivers. Because actual playable content that affects the game is locked behind a Super Citizen DLC.
Yep.
And that's the level where I go, okay, there's the best, one of the best early weapon in the game, the Incendiary Breaker, is locked behind a $5 paywall. That's different than just, I want a cool cosmetic. If none of the armors had ratings, if none of the, if any of that stuff didn't actually matter within the game, and it was just, here's a cool skin for the Breaker, I wouldn't be upset. I was like, great, if I want to spend the $5 to get a cool skin, that is up to me to do. When it is locked behind actual content is when it's the feeling of like, it is now feeling unethical. I
just don't like it in general. I just think I can't. I understand your points, and I even agree with some of them. I still have the stance of I just do not like it in general.
Yeah.
It just feels so scummy, and just so money grubby, and I don't know. I want to just enjoy my games. Yeah. I don't want to have to pay more money for a $60 game, $50 game, $30 game.
Yeah.
To enjoy the game more. Even battle passes are
it's super weird.
It's super weird because while I can continue to play the game and I rank up and get more content out of it, sure, that's fine. And that can be fun. But the fact that I have to pay a monthly subscription to fucking be able to do that is fucking weird to me. Just let me play my game. I literally bought this game already. And this is where, Fortnite, I'm, more okay with. Because the entire game is free.
Yeah.
It is literally just cosmetics that is paid for. Fair enough. I'm not really going to argue. If it's literally just cosmetics that you're paying for, fine.
Yeah.
If the entire game is still solid, fine. But it really is just if I have to pay more money on a game that I just spent a lot of money on to play the game more, that's a bad game.
Yeah. And I agree with most of that. If things are locked behind content, then yeah, it's I just spent this money and you're telling me I have to spend... I'm trying to think of a game that did that.
I mean, again, Battlefront.
Yeah, I don't, and that's the good thing about like we tend to play games that is not really seen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that is the MMO. I have eyelash in my eye. That's the MMO online shooter multiplayer like online game. That is where it's usually seen. And personally, I hate them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I have this idea of, and I will say this not to sound insensitive. It's not going to sound insensitive, but it's something I need to tell people often when they see disability aids and they go, well, I won't use this. Why is this a thing? Well, it's like, these are made not for you. And if you don't want it, then it's not for you. So walk away. And that's this stance I've taken a lot on with like loot crates, where it's like, if you don't want this and if it's not for you, then it's not for you. Someone else is going to enjoy this. If it's unhealthy, the game developers can't really do anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
But how many people actively enjoy, you know, buying a couple loot crates? It's the same thing as like how many people just on a Sunday buy a couple lottery tickets in hopes they get something cool, hopes they win the jackpot, hopes they get something, you know. I went to fucking Come and Go over the weekend, and some dude was like, bought a whole list of lottery tickets, and the dude was like, see you next Sunday. I'm like, that's a gambling addiction. If it's every Sunday he's buying lottery tickets, but it's not unhealthy, because it's a thing where,
again, it depends on if that unhealthiness, you know, if it becomes an unhealthy addiction. Like, I can't sit here and argue that buying, you know, you spend your money the way you want to.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily arguing that. Like, it's more, we shouldn't condone. There should be a cutoff for people who are obviously spending money that you need that money to live.
Yeah.
They're like there is a cutoff for people at a bar, there needs to be a cutoff for people who gamble.
Yeah.
And that should be placed for loot crates.
It's a good ideology. It is impossible to enact.
Nope. It is absolutely not.
Because that's with all addictions. Yes, a bar can have a cutoff. What's stopping the person from going and buying that in the store?
And what's stopping the game developers from saying, hey, you bought 5 loot crates, you're not allowed to buy more for the next 5 weeks?
Because possibility of what if other people are using the same account? What if, you know, hey, I got a bonus this month. You know, like that is unethical in a sense where it is not the game developer's choice to dictate how we play our games. It's like being like, well, you've played 30 hours of this game, you can't play it till 3 months from now.
Mm-hmm. But
you can't dictate how, you know, the game developer is there to give the game and then say, it is yours. How do you define that number of, okay, you can't do this anymore because I chose to tell you not to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the bar is different because you get actual legal risk of like people drinking and driving because it's out in a location. But
there is a reason why, like, in Japan, gambling is completely banned.
Yeah.
Like,
it doesn't stop gambling in any sense, though. The worst microtransaction you can find are like in Japanese mobile games,
mm-hmm.
where it's like everything is locked behind a microtransaction. It's just not called gambling. But I've never seen worse microtransactions than some weird Japanese like gacha games or anything like that. All of that is microtransactions.
I agree. It's hard. It's not like
there's no yes or no.
No, not at all. I think there should be a limit. I just think there should be. Because there are people who genuinely ruin their lives from these games.
Yeah.
Ruin their lives from, mobile apps or, all this other stuff. Yes, other people are gaining a whole bunch of money, and that is the whole reason that any of this exists, is so people can get more money.
Oh, yeah.
And that comes down to, is that also ethically okay? It's... My problem is, and I hate money. Just as a general concept, I hate money. Do I think it is necessary? Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know any other way for us to be able to, get goods. There's just no other system that does it better than money.
Yeah.
But the existence of money has ruined lives.
Yes. Fully agree.
And this is, to me, just another example of how it can do it and how it can make products that we genuinely like worse.
I agree.
So I am just against it. I don't like it.
And that's fair. I just think it's existed because it exists. It's... To actually state my understanding, or my reasoning or ideology behind any of this, is that people will get to choose how they want to deal with their life. And it's what's the right word? A majority of the time, people don't like it when you tell them how to live their lives.
For sure.
In all sense. Whether good or bad. And in a sense, it's hard to... Where do you draw the line of telling someone they can or cannot do something?
Mm.
It's, like you said before, of 5 loot crates you can't buy anymore. I agree with you. I have seen things in people's lives, cigarettes. You know how many times I've seen family members buy a pack of cigarettes or a carton of cigarettes when they can't feed their kids? How do you get to choose where that line is over someone else's life?
Right.
You can't really.
No. And I'm seeing where your ethics are, which is personal freedom.
Yeah.
That's very fair. I agree with personal freedom to an extent.
I agree too.
Mm-hmm.
I say there has to be limits.
Exactly.
My limitation to that is not you getting to determine that. It's what we'll talk about in a quick second when we transition to something else. It is the consumer themselves.
Mm-hmm.
If 70% of all CSGO consumers started to go, hey, we don't like this anymore, or hey, can we change the way this works? It is when the max good of a people choose to determine something else.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I think, it's the power of the people. It's we have the voice to change things. It's not the company gets to decide. And we'll talk about it because... Actually, let's talk about it now, because this is a perfect example of what I'm discussing. Dragon Dogma 2 has a...
I knew this was coming up.
Yes, has a $41.79 DLC.
Mm-hmm.
The entire... Let me read this DLC out to you. Explorer Camping Kit Camping Gear. Dragon Dogma Music and Sound Collection Custom Sounds. Harpy Snare Smoke Beacon Harpy Lure Item. Heartfelt Pendant, a thoughtful gift. Ambulant Rift Incense, Change Pawn, Inclination, Makeshift Goal Key, Art of Metamorphosis, Portal Crystal, Wakestone A, Wakestone B, Wakestone C, Wakestone D, Wakestone E. Wakestones are how to revive a dead character. 500 Rift Crystals A, 500 Rift Crystals B, 500 Rift Crystals C, 1,500 Rift Crystals A, 1,500 Rift Crystals B, 1,500 Rift Crystals C, 1,500 Rift Crystals D, and then 2,500 Rift Crystals A. That is the downloadable content for Dragon Dogma 2.
That's so dumb.
That is what I hate when it is. Okay, let me retract that statement. I don't hate it because it doesn't change the game. It can make the game a little easier. It can help you if you need help. But at a certain point, the consumers get to decide whether they like that or not. And what we've seen, and I don't think we've actually sat down and talked about it before, because I don't think it's ever come up in our personal conversations, is review bombing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, for those at home that don't know, the act when a consumer either... It's specifically for a video game, in the sense. Usually. You can kind of review bomb anything, but we're talking about this in a video game setting. It is when a consumer has not purchased the item, or has purchased the item and played ever so little amount, and is choosing to make a review about a set thing or a set few things based on the game, or something about the game, without really any knowledge or credentials to back them up. I don't think it's a bad thing if, we've seen it with Dragon Dogma. Majority of the community hates this microtransaction. Hates that you can quite literally buy each of those items I just listed off individually, or you can buy them as a set. And so the game has been review bombed. Thousands of reviews have come in where it is, 0 hours logged on the game, 0.9 hours logged on the game of, I hate microtransactions, this is the stupidest shit. I don't think it's wrong, but we've seen the active community go against this thing. Which currently sitting at, Dragon's Dogma is sitting at a 57% review rate, with over 50,000 users reviewed. And if you look at the reviews, much of it is blank, hardly any hours, and it's hate microtransactions, hate this, frame rate's horrible, implayable at, because that's the two things they're complaining about, is microtransactions and the city drop frame rates almost implayable. That being in the city just completely ruins frame rates, and it's near unimplayable. And so that, I think, is when we get to see whether those, DLC transactions are acceptable or not.
I personally don't think that one is. I understand that it doesn't affect the game a whole lot.
Yeah.
But that's still a lot of things being behind the paywall.
It is.
And it'd be different if it was a $15 paywall. I wouldn't give a shit as much. The fact that it's a $40-something paywall is horrible, because that's already a $70 game.
Yeah. So this brings up to the other thing of what happened. Okay. 100% agree. I don't know why they're charging so much for some of this stuff. That is, for the most part, where a lot of the ethical questions lie. Because if some of these items were 99 cents, I couldn't see much of an issue. If you want the cool new camping gear, that's up to you. Why is it $3 for the camping gear? That is insane. Does it make it different? Now, let's say this was $15, okay? This is the new reality. It's $15. How do you feel about it? For all that stuff.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's still shitty.
Yeah.
Now what happens when the game is pre-order for $95 and it's everything else? Does it really make it any better? Yet we seem to see the same thing, but go, oh, it's, the game is more because it's pre-order and we get more stuff. But it's essentially the same thing. You're just paying more for extra DLC items. But it's the same feeling of, hey, here's some more stuff.
That's another thing. I don't agree with pre-ordering too much.
I don't agree when pre-ordering is more, because it's the same thing. You're telling me I have to pre-order a $70 game for $90 and get a few extra things? I
agree with that. And that's basically where I'm at with it as well. I have pre-ordered games that I'm very excited for that I know are full content games that I will be able to download and play whenever it comes out.
Yeah.
I did that with Elden Ring. I did that with Persona 3.
I did it with God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah. It, like, that, fine. Like, we're going to probably have to deal with some glitches in the first, like, day update and shit like that. That's just how it goes. But when it's the pre-order, hey, get the golden pass and get, like, a bunch of this fucking shit for this game, I'm like, you know I'm not going to get that fucking pre-order.
But people want to because they can.
Because they can. And so, I don't agree with it personally.
Yeah.
I'm not going to slander anyone who does do that. Fair enough, enjoy your new items that you have.
Yeah.
For me, I still feel gross about it.
And I 100% agree, because I am on your boat.
Mm-hmm.
Objectively, though, it's something I've just learned, especially because I used to play a lot of Overwatch, where I had that moment as a kid where I was like, I am seeing a bunch of people buy loot crates, and I want to buy a bunch of loot crates, and then I had the moment of, okay, I don't get much for what I'm paying.
Mm-hmm.
It is cool, and I probably would enjoy it, because it's fun. I hit a point in my youth where I was like, okay, when I spend my money, I have to get a certain level out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, personally, I hate it. I don't think it's fun. This one is different due to just, I think, the amount they're charging. This felt like they pushed the line a little too far.
For sure.
But we're seeing an active retort within the community of, no. You've done way too much. If it was, 70% cheaper, I don't think many people would have an issue with this. If this was, hey, for $10, here's a majority of this stuff.
Because a lot of that stuff, like, I see that with, like, Resident Evil games.
Yeah.
That I fucking love to play. Where you get, like, a new gun, new skin, blah, 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 blah. You get new content. And, like, that's, like, $10.
Yeah.
It's, like, fair enough. I'm not going to buy it personally because I just don't feel right about it. But fair enough. I can see why people would enjoy that. They're basically asking the same thing for triple the price.
Yeah. And it's stupid.
Stupid.
What I don't like about this, because yes, Resident Evil does it a lot, and to go back on what we said before, the pre-order thing is both smart and, in my eyes, very evil, because usually the pre-order things are limited time edition stuff. You can't get those items once it ends pre-order.
That's another thing.
It's a very smart thing for the company to go, hey, if you want this incredibly rare, will never again be accessible items, spend $10 more. You essentially have been guaranteed the game. You're pre-ordering it.
Yeah.
And you're getting very cool, usually. God of War Ragnarok did it. Like, Atreus and Kratos had, like, special skins, and you got, like, special things. I didn't do it, because I was like, that's not going to change the way I play the game, or what I get out of the game. But it is something that is money grubby, smart way of just, hey, spend a little extra money, get something that most people won't get, and it's cool.
Well, it's the same thing for, like, food companies who fucking have limited edition, like, items that they can use, that they sell. Like the McRib. Is a very big example to me. Like, a lot of people love the McRib. Limited time only, so you're only going to get it this much.
And you're going to spend as much.
And you're going to spend as much money as you want getting that. And that's the only reason why it is limited time only. Because they know they'll get a fuck ton of money from people who love that item. So...
But those things are usable.
Those things are usable.
This type of content does not feel usable.
Fuck no.
It's like exploring camping gear, music and sound collection. I don't even know what custom sounds mean.
So that's...
Because it's not like the soundtrack. You're not buying the soundtrack.
You're literally buying custom sounds. What the hell does that mean?
I'm looking it up. Change some in-game music and sound effect to those of the original Dragon's Dogma.
Dude, that's horrible.
Like, this is the difference when there is no actual, I don't want to say purpose, because people, if they feel nostalgic for it, if they're like, oh my god, this was my favorite thing, it's different, you know? This is the level, though, where it's like, even if you enjoy buying this stuff, what are you getting out of it? Like, I could see the cool skins, I could see maybe the cool new gun, the cool spray paint. Some of the stuff, like port crystals and wake stones, you find naturally in the game. You know, one is a revive and one is you set it down so you can teleport to it. You get those stuff in the games. Yeah. So, like, even if you enjoyed, you know, theoretically gambling or buying DLC stuff, it's not doing much. Like, you're not getting anything that's unique.
It's a very dumb way to do it.
Yeah.
It's
like, make the stuff at least unique for the purchase.
Because here's what I would think the price is justified for.
Yeah.
Camping gear, fine. We can put that in there. I want either a full new mount for the characters.
They don't do mounts for Dragon's Dogma.
Then that's dumb. I think they should. Because that game is so largely about exploring.
Yeah.
So, okay. Then okay. Oh, fuck. That makes it harder to think about how to justify that price.
So, what I could see justifying the price, first of all, they really fucked up in how they did it. I don't even know what Rift Crystals are used for, which is the majority of, like, the 500 Rift Crystals, 500, like, 3 separate times, and then 1,500 Rift Crystals. Money-grabbing downloadable content has to be unique to its purchase.
Yep.
That is where I see it okay as. When you can find that stuff within the game,
it's just worse.
That I don't understand. You know, Overwatch, yes, you can purchase the item yourself, and yes, it takes a lot of time. I can see loot crates because it's the randomization of, like, it's not just skins. You can gain other things from it.
Right.
It is a unique experience.
Yeah, just the same as, like, CS:GO. You get like new weapons and knives and shit.
Like, it's a unique thing. It doesn't make. It's the same thing of, like, being like, oh, like CS:GO, spend 99 cents and you get 3 extra bombs.
So the reason CS:GO isn't the most terrible about it, and why, like, I bring it up because that's just where I see loot crates the most in, but it has its own economy.
Yeah.
You're hoping to get expensive stuff on there that you can also then resell.
Yeah.
Like, it has its own economy, so you're kind of investing when you're doing loot crates. That's like stocks almost to me. That's different.
It's just when the content itself
is locked behind.
Yeah, or it just itself is not even unique. It's like, hey, spend this money. You know, it's what I don't like. No, I can't say that. It's a very hard. I feel like we don't see it often. We probably do. I am just not in the market of video games that see this type of DLC content, which is the, hey, spend money. It almost feels like mobile games when you can buy hearts, where it's like, okay, I can wait 30 minutes to get my heart back, or I can buy a heart. A lot of people spend hearts because they just want to play the game, and that's where it's like, okay, that's what I fucking hate. It's what we've talked about it a few times now, but it's I'm playing a mobile app, and I can't play it because I've ran out of hearts. I can spend $5 to, get unlimited hearts for a day. It's like, okay, I just want to play the game.
Yep.
And it's like, I don't know why Dragon's Dogma did it. The game already has issues with it.
It's money grubbing. That's all it is.
It's money grubbing.
But it's bad money grubbing.
Yeah, it's not even smart money grubbing.
No, and not every money grubbing tactic that we're going to see is smart.
True.
This is an example of a very dumb way to try to do money grubbing.
Yeah.
Because you can definitely be more subtle with it. The smartest way I've seen money grubbing do, and I don't agree with any money grubbing, but it is the smartest way I've seen it done is with Fortnite. You get an entire fucking game, and the only thing you buy is cosmetics.
What?
Fortnite,
sorry.
Yeah.
I heard Warpaint, and I was like,
no.
Yeah, you know, the purchase itself is unique.
Mm-hmm.
So you play the game, you get something cool to be like, hey, I've spent money, look at this cool item I've got.
Yeah, it self-defining, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But the entire game is free.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't like Fortnite personally, not my type of game.
Yeah.
But I see why people like it, you know? But...
Because I think... Does this do it?
I even like Fortnite more than, like, other free-to-play games like that because they don't do loot crates, I don't think. It's been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, loot, from what I remember, Fortnite doesn't do loot crates. You literally just have a store that you buy skins from. TF2 does that, and I fucking love TF2. Even though TF2 is finally dying, which is sad.
It's, okay. Two things.
Yeah.
One, I agree. It's why I never could get into,
Apex.
No, what's the fucking game? Free to play, kind of sci-fi. Not Warhammer.
Apex Legends?
No. Oh my god, what is it?
Sci-fi kind of weird. What? Is it... Huh?
It's fucking Warframe.
Warframe.
Because Warframe, a majority of that game is locked behind, hey, you want actual content? Purchase this.
My roommate is really into Warframe.
I could not, because my brother played it, because he loved
Mm-hmm.
MMOs, and I got into it, and I was like, oh, this is a cool concept. Everything that is playable is essentially locked behind content or dozens upon dozens of hours.
Yeah.
That's the difference where it's like, hey, you want this skin? Easy, $2.99, or it's 300 hours worth of gameplay.
So, my roommate tends to really gravitate towards games that they can kind of grind in.
Yeah.
And that's fair. I respect the grind. That's fair. It's why they really like Warframe or...
I mean, it's why WoW has stayed, eternally popular.
Yes.
Which I don't even want to look into. The downloadable, purchasable content in WoW. It's probably millions.
Well, seasons, man. The fucking seasons.
Oh, yeah.
It's fucking bizarre. Final Fantasy 14. It is one of the few fucking MMOs that I genuinely actually want to get into. I can't because my account won't let me. But
I do think seasons are a better way to do it than just independently.
Well, yes, because that's an entire another side of the game that you get to play.
And it's a set amount for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
All the content is behind one purchasable. So it's like, okay, battle passes I get, paying each month to play a game, so what? But every single person is getting essentially the same effect of it, of like, we're all spending $6 on a Fortnite battle pass, we're all getting the same content.
It's a little different. I still don't necessarily agree with the tactic, but I understand it, and I don't think it's as egregious as like some of the others.
Yeah,
like it's fine.
So I said we'd get back to it, and this is, I think, great part to talk about it now. Pricing versus content.
Yes.
I think it's what makes this DLC so egregious is that the content is so minimal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a one-time usable item for $9.99 makes no sense. A port crystal, which is a one-time use. Yeah, it essentially opens up, like, you put it down and then you can fast travel to that point using, I don't remember what they're even fucking called, $3. Like, the amount of content you get per purchase is the hard decision.
Not bad.
At the beginning, it's why I was so against the $7 price range on Dragon Dogma. But one of the YouTubers that I'm watching play Dragon's Dogma talked about in a very ethical, not a very ethical way, but a very smart way of what is your ideal video game price range? Like I'm actually asking you.
Oh God, 30 to 40 usually.
And how much content do you expect to get out of that?
At least 20 hours, at least.
So then, so I'm similar. Mm-hmm. So then a game that is 100 hours plus being $70, it's, if I expect to buy a game like God of War, I spend $60 on that game, I would spend $60. I expect to get 30 to 40 hours out of it.
Oh, I expect more.
My 100% playthrough of God of War Ragnarok was, I think barely hit 30 hours.
Well, that goes into quantity and then quality of content.
True.
Because God of War and God of War Ragnarok is a phenomenal game with great storytelling, incredible combat, and all of it blends well.
Yes, but
so the less, I'm fine with games being lesser hour if their quality is still good.
It depends. I would not spend $60 on a game that is 15 hours, regardless of how well crafted that game is. Mm-hmm. There is a level of quantity that I expect with a price range. I just don't like it when games. Yeah, it could be one of the most well-made, beautiful games ever existed. If God of War Ragnarok was, a 15-hour game and had a $60 price tag, I would be a little upset because I am spending, a certain amount of money for a certain amount of content. Mm-hmm. Yes, the content should be good, but that's sort of the standard for majority of things.
No, that's fair. And I can agree with that because I do think God of War is fully fine to be a $60 game.
But it is a long game too.
It is.
If you actually play the game 30 to 40 hours, mm-hmm. depending on how good you are, and that's justifiable. Mm-hmm. So when I look at, games like Dragon's Dogma, which I will say, taking a step back from the developers themselves and from the DLC and from some of the performance issues, the game itself seems very enjoyable. I'm on episode, 30. I'm watching one of my YouTubers play it. Each episode's about 30 minutes. I've watched him play this game. I have wanted to buy it, and there are a few things stopping me that don't really need to talk about in this episode. And I haven't. Mostly performance issues. Mm. I'm waiting for them to update some of the performing. But it's the idea of $70 culturally is a big kind of thing. Because, all games have been $60. That's just kind of the standard. Mm. But when you think about it based on content and length of content, that I think is up to the person.
It is. Yeah, and it really depends on the type of games that you really know you're going to enjoy. Because there are games that I want right now that I'm going to wait until
it needs to be this price.
Yeah, I know I will have a lot of fun and will enjoy this game, but I don't have the amount of drive and desire for it to pay full price for it.
Yeah.
That's why I recently got through RE4.
Yeah.
Remake. And I loved that game. It was a blast. I did not get that game until it was under $30.
Yeah.
Because, I knew there was only so much content I was going to get out of it.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Amount of money and amount of time that I'm spending into a game, I want to, interchange with.
Yeah. It's why I could never buy the Call of Duty games.
God, no.
Because it's yes, theoretically, the actual purpose of a Call of Duty game is its multiplayer, mm-hmm. not its campaign. As single player video game players, I'm not spending $60 on a 4 to 5 hour campaign. Mm-hmm. It's why I'm okay with buying games that are more expensive and theoretically would spend more. Baldur's Gate 3. I would spend like. It is one of those games where I would have spent $80, $90 on, knowing what I got out of it, the amount of content, the quality of content. It is nice when it is behind a achievable purchase. It makes it a very smart move on the company's understanding of like, hey, it's kind of a good wink wink. We know our game is good. We know we can put it in the $60 price range. It was 60, right? Or was it 70? I can't remember.
I think it was like 50.
Was it 50?
Might have been.
I can't remember how much it was.
I don't remember it being like crazy expensive.
Yeah, that's the good thing. I lost my train of thought.
But I will say this about Baldur's Gate 3. I love that game.
Yeah.
Wonderful game. Would buy it again.
Yeah.
When I first bought it, which was before it fully released and came out, and got to play it. It was not a finished game, and it was still at full price.
Yeah. I didn't know it was at full price when they first released beta.
No, it was full price.
Damn.
And it was just the beta testing for 3 years.
Damn.
I still say it was worth it, in a sense, because of the game that we got from it.
Yeah.
And without the beta testing, the fact that I didn't have to pay for it again after the beta testing is just fucking great.
A smart move.
It's a very smart move.
From N.E.R.D.S studio.
I basically just got to pre-order the game
for 3 years.
For 3 years.
Yeah.
And I love that game. It's a great game.
Yeah.
But it was full price for a very buggy, not finished game.
It's a very interesting, it goes into, and the reason I am comfortable talking about this now is because we're talking about ethics within DLCs, but also the price tag on those. Because none of that stuff can be free.
No.
It's just logistically, you cannot push out content for it to be free.
It would be so not good for the developers, for their respect and amount of time that they put into their livelihood. They're putting years into these games. To then not receive a fucking penny off of it is like very, very, very generous of them. But God, how are they making their living?
Yeah.
Like, makes no sense to me.
And unfortunately, the hard part that comes with this stuff is that there has to be a group of people that buys it at full price to see how it is.
Yeah.
So that way we, the poor folk that go, $60 is a lot to spend on a game. I'm going to wait to see how it does. People have to then, and that's the weird thing of, there still has to be people to purchase it.
Absolutely. And that goes into, what people are excited for, what kind of games are worth justifying a full price for different people. For me, RE4 Remake was not justifiable at full price, because I knew the amount of content that I personally was going to enjoy from it. I was not going to go, speed running the game over and over and over.
You're probably just going to play it once now, maybe once again, a few months.
Yeah, I know what I'm getting out of the game.
Yeah.
For someone who fucking loves Resident Evil and those types of games, and this is their favorite fucking game getting remade, of course they're buying it at full price. They're getting it immediately. That's how I felt with FF7 Remake.
Yeah.
I got that game full fucking price, and I did not regret it a single bit, because I love those types of games.
Yeah.
That was going to be my game of the year, and I knew it. So, same reason for Elden Ring, and why I did that, because that is set for my kind of demographic, the games that I enjoy. So, of course, people are going to buy it at full price, because those types of games are for those people, and so they can justify buying it at full price. And it does help us, like you said, poorer folk to...
Yeah, it's like, I can't spend this. I need to see whether it's good or bad.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the traps that I fell into, the trap of Cyberpunk when it first released.
Mine was Darksiders 3.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-ordered that game.
Yep.
Darksiders 3.
Mm-hmm.
I would spend $25 on that game.
Yep.
And Cyberpunk is a great example of incredibly hyped up, essentially lied to on what the finished game was going to be. It released, and then it was a bomb.
It was a bomb. Everyone hated it.
Everybody hated it.
Everyone was mad.
What is insane about that is that, in a sense,
it bounced back.
None of that mattered.
No, it bounced back.
I was looking at RPGs. Cyberpunk, Red Liberty is within the list of the highest ranked games on Steam right now.
Yep.
It's insane that is possible. That a company can fail so miserably at marketing, pricing, like the development, and for it to, if done well, not matter at all.
And that's okay. You want to know why it is so insane and why it worked out? It's because they listen to the consumer. We hardly ever get developers that actually listen to the consumer. It's why Baldur's Gate 3 works so goddamn well.
Yeah. Because
through that beta testing and through after the beta testing, they continued to listen to the consumer, see what they liked, see what they didn't like, tweaked it to where it worked. People forgive Cyberpunk because they listened to us.
It took a while.
Because they had to basically remake the game from the ground up.
Yeah.
But it is a much, much better game for it.
I'm hoping they do that with Dragon's Dogma. Because
I hope they will. I don't think they will, though.
They are doing it. They're starting. I don't think they're going to get rid of the DLC thing. It's hard to... Once you put that out there, you can't really take it back. Because if people have purchased it already, how do you take that back? You kind of have to just be like... Now, I haven't looked, but I do hope we get like a, hey guys, sorry, that was just, it was not the right choice.
I don't think you can take it back, but I do think you can adjust the price.
I think you can adjust well, how do you adjust the price that people have already bought it? I mean, you can't really give refunds. So at that point, how do you go? Because then it's an outcry if you drop the price. Every single person that bought it for $50 or for $40, you just kind of give them a big middle finger.
Yep.
You kind of just have to be like, well, it's there. Say sorry. You know, try to give the reasoning of like, we can't really take it down because there are people who have already bought it, without really having to go through 70 extra steps of being like, oh, if you bought it, you can now refund it, or you can do this now.
And, okay, fair. I don't know if they will care. I think, here's what I think is going to happen. I think they will adjust the price and give that middle finger, because that's less than the people who could potentially buy it. And here's the thing with any of those companies, and any company in general, and it's one of the things that I have noticed with your lingo, consumer.
Yeah.
We are not people. We are consumers. This isn't they do not think about it individually. It is a numbers game. So they are going to drop the price, and I guarantee they will, because the amount of people who will still buy it is more than the amount of people who will get angry about being middle finger.
Yeah.
We are not individuals in their eyes. We are a number.
True, but it is a very pessimistic way to think about it. Especially,
it's the reality of it, though.
Yes, but you just praise Cyberpunk's company and Baldur's Gate company for seeing us as people and listening to our voices.
Yes, and those are the outliers. I should specify, not every company, but there are companies that will look at us as,
yes.
You know,
anytime money is there are people that will do that.
Yeah.
We have yet to see how this company will react to it. The game has only been out for a week or so, and
this is the thing that I have seen from a majority of other studios who have done stuff like this.
Yeah.
So it is a pessimistic view on it, but it is justified pessimism from the amounts of people and companies that have had this happen to them before.
But we still have to hope, like we have hoped with the other games, like Cyberpunk and Baldur's Gate, that they do fix it. You know,
Baldur's Gate is the only game that I have actually been like, all right, I'm on board with what they did, and I'm glad that they did. I did not like Cyberpunk. I had no hope. I didn't know that they were gonna. When it was a complete surprise to me when they decided to do the update.
Yeah.
And it was only honestly because of my enjoyment with Baldur's Gate and them listening to us that I believed enough in the Project Red team to see what they did.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of times within the game industry that we have not been listened to
is a lot.
Is stagnant. So I personally did not give a shit about Cyberpunk until like the DLC and the update.
Yeah. Which is an interesting conversation because on one hand I believe that Project Red did that not really for the consumer, because Cyberpunk was already out for a while. Mm-hmm. It had already completely bombed in the entire public's eye, almost insalvageable. You can't really salvage that in the hopes for money. Like, that felt like a, we fucked up, let us personally try to do better.
For sure. I'm not saying it wasn't.
Yeah.
There are still people who run those companies, and they still have. There are people who have integrity that run those companies. It just depends on the people in those companies.
Yeah.
All of it is a factor of it depends.
Mm-hmm.
I won't lie. I just see where we are. This is gonna get political a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I just see where we are at, society-wise, as nothing but consumer and product. That's
Fair.
just where we are at.
Yeah.
And that is the whole message of the cyberpunk system, society, and everything in between.
Yeah.
There's a reason why cyberpunk is so beloved, and it is aesthetics and all that stuff, but it is more because it fits with the message of this is where we're fucking going.
Yeah.
And it hits more nowadays than ever because we are kind of in the cyberpunk dystopian.
Yeah.
We just are. Anyway, political rant done, but it... You know, that's where my mentality is when it comes to anything company-wise.
Yeah.
Like, I love video games. I love products. I need stuff to survive. I need stuff to enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm going to play the game because I need to.
Yeah.
Does not mean that I have to sit here and appreciate that I am within a cyberpunk dystopia.
I have hope for Dragon's Dogma 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have been following and keeping up to date with their updates. They have been... I mean, when did this game release?
Not that long ago.
Like a week, I think.
Like a week ago.
I just don't know where it can...
And if they do generally...
March 21st.
Yeah.
From within that, we've seen 2 massive updates. Where... essentially... the first update was like fixing a lot of technical issues, and then the second update was, hey, we have listened to you, and there's been some things which, you know, when developing a game, you don't know what is going to succeed or not succeed, and that's the point of updating it. Dragon's Dogma, and I don't know if they did this intentionally, didn't have a menu to restart the game.
Oh.
Which I've played games that have done that.
Yeah.
Fully 100%. I've played games where there's been no way to restart the game other than deleting save files. Dragon's Dogma did that, where you started once you start the game, you'd have to go into Steam and delete the file to restart a game. When was it? It was March 29th. They added the feature to restart a game, to fully restart your game and start a new playthrough. I have hopes for Dragon Dogma because it feels like Baldur's Gate, which is I don't want to say a good company. It is Capcom, which Capcom has been very iffy.
Mm-hmm.
But we are seeing a company, or at least we're seeing a development team who is actively trying to fix what they can.
Yeah.
That's also another conversation which can be later, which is it the Dragon Dogma developers that put the DLC then, or was it Capcom? Can we really say it's the game's fault for doing that? But that's also the thing of parent companies versus developers. It's why I'm excited that some of From Software games have been given back to From Software and not held within. What is it? A publishing company?
Namco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's a publishing company.
Publishing company, where it's like when you give the game back to the developers, majority of the times, and I would say most of the time, we see the love.
Yeah.
It's just when the publishers hold it, kind of like Capcom, we see that struggle with money.
Here's the thing. I don't think there is a game out there. Well, no, there's probably a few. But I don't think there's many games out there that aren't made with some semblance of love. Like,
you can't make a game without love.
Yes.
Well,
you can.
The games we are talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, there are many online multiple games. Like, the games we talk about, the big games, the games that are 30 to 40 hours, you can't make those games without love.
And I'm not blaming developers by any means. Developers have a hard enough time as it fucking is to make the games that we fucking love.
Yeah.
Especially over in Japan.
Yeah.
Like, there's literally a word in Japan for people being overworked to death.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. Like, I don't blame them by any sense of the means. I'm sure there's some that are like, yes, this is the best way we can do this, but like,
yeah,
most of the time they're just trying to make the game that they love, that they think people will love, that they creatively put their heart and soul into.
Mm-hmm.
It's the companies, and I have been very distinct on companies.
Yeah,
it is the companies that are money-grubbing assholes that only care about us as consumers.
Yeah, but as consumers, we don't make that distinction. We see Dragon Dogma is the money-grubbing person. We don't make the distinction of, oh, it's Capcom. And
because it's not the most informed community.
Yeah.
It's, unless you're looking to be informed, you're not going to. You're gonna see a microtransaction and be like, "Oh, I hate microtransactions," and just type a bad review. Like, we're coming at it with the knowledge of like our standards and what we, understand about the games and companies themselves. Not everyone has that knowledge.
Yeah.
That could be a 12-year-old kid being like, I don't want to use my dad's credit card.
Which is fair. They have the full right to. It's why I say I have hope for Dragon's Dogma. Is because it feels like, even though whatever reign Capcom is having on it, the developers, it says the developers are Capcom?
Well, I'm sure it's a developer team in Capcom.
Yeah, that's mostly what I am. I'm sure that the actual developers themselves will do whatever they can to make this the game that is what it's supposed to be with criticism.
I'm sure they will. I just have doubts about the company.
Yeah, I mean the company is always gonna do what they can for money.
It is. It's to watch an arbitrary number go up. Again, I don't blame developers. I don't blame people making games or like just wanting to spread their art and passion to people. That's fine, and they gotta make a living, So sometimes they have to do things to earn money. Like that's part of it. I would never want to gain a piece of incredible art like a God of War Ragnarok without paying the people who made it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Wow. The developer for Dragon's Dogma is the developer for Devil May Cry.
Yeah, that makes sense.
and what was the other one? Rival Schools and Power Stone.
I know Power Stone.
That's luckily where, as a consumer, I have to give thanks to those people that walk before me, the people that buy the games at full price, that buy the DLCs, actual DLCs, not like microtransaction DLCs, and make those reviews of, hey, this isn't worth it. Yeah. Wait until it's 60 or wait until it's 40% off.
And I agree with that. The whole conversation that we are having, there is just no right or wrong.
Yeah.
There's no black or white. There is no evil or good.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's all a personal preference, and it's all dependent on other people and how those other people view us and how we view them. So it's hard to, justify points when it all determines on factors.
Yeah.
It's the trolley problem.
Yeah. And I probably actually what I'll name this episode as is just pricing ethics within video games. Because it's, what if those loot crates were 5 cents each? It's all pricing. It's a big thing we talk about in art. How do, why is this artist get to sell their... if you had two same paintings, one made by, Banksy, a famous spray paint artist, and the other one just by a person, identical, the pricing difference. It's, like you said before, consumerism, America, we're also centered around money, but we're more centered around the name of what makes that is then how to determine the money. If it's why Larynx Studio, I think, got away with being able to put their price range so low and have the whole community be like, thank you. Thank you for making a great game, for not price gouging this. You could have. I guarantee Baldur's Gate 3 could have come out as a $70, $80 game.
For sure.
They didn't.
No.
Because they're not that name. They're not Capcom. They're not From Software.
They're second party development.
Yeah, and they
are a double A, not a triple A.
Yeah. And we get to see that naming divide of you're not a triple A. Sometimes you're not even a double A, and you're able to price it what you think should be priced. And I think that's kind of the difference of when the company, the publishers go, I think we can get $70 out of this, and then the developers being like, it's probably like a $50, $60 game. So like what we'd price it at.
It strangely goes into ranking.
Yeah.
And rating and like hierarchy.
Yeah.
Which is another whole thing that we could get into, but I think is just a little too political for where we want to go. I'll just say this and kind of end the statement. Every job is almost a pyramid scheme if you really think about it.
Oh, yeah. That we won't get into that because that's a whole other topic.
That's a whole other topic, but like that's kind of where we're like talking, and like why does a like big artist and a little artist making the same painting get paid less or more?
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's hierarchy, it's ranking, and blah blah blah. Blah.
Yeah.
So
you pay for what you want, and people will pay for what they want. And majority of the times that is negative, and very few times that is good. And luckily, as video game consumers, we get to make that choice. We get to go, no, we're not paying $70 for this game. Not specifically talking about Dragon's Dogma. There's been many games where it's like, I am not paying $60 for this game. I know that's the standard. No. I will wait until you're 60. That was Cyberpunk for me.
Yep.
Even after the publishing, I said, I'm not paying $60 for Cyberpunk. I will pay $30 for it, and I did. I got it for $30. That's, we've been able to keep that power in our hands, and there's no way they can force us to buy those things.
But Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead. I just said we've just been very smart with keeping that power within the consumers. Of yeah, you can release a game for this amount of money. We can show you whether we enjoy that pricing or not.
Yeah, and like anyone listening to this is the thing that I really want to hone within this episode. You have every power and right to not buy something.
Amen.
You are not obligated to buy something.
Amen.
You need stuff to live. Fair enough. And there are things that you can get that like can make your day better. I understand that.
Yeah.
But if you do not like a game, if you do not want this game, don't buy it. Maybe don't buy the next microtransaction.
Yeah.
Maybe don't buy the next, game coming up.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. We could solve world hunger, like homelessness, if 5,000, or there's a statistic out there, if enough people paid $1,
yeah,
we could stop homelessness forever.
Yeah.
But we're not going to think like that.
Yeah.
Do what you can for yourself, and don't buy something that you don't need.
Amen. I mean, it's majority of the stuff you will buy will be there.
Yeah.
A certain length of time later.
Mm-hmm.
Games, very, very few games get pulled off a shelf permanently.
Yep.
They will always be there. If you really want to play a game and can justify the price range, buy it. If you don't think you can justify the price range, let alone if the game itself has actual issues like gaming, tech issues or other issues like that, those games don't disappear. 99% of the time. Wait. And understand that some games will never drop in price. Like Nintendo, rarely games go on sale.
And that's a business tactic that I heartily disagree with. It just makes them really stupid. But I say that as a big Nintendo fan. But ultimately, we as consumers do have a power in the sense of what we buy and what we don't buy.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going to listen to.
Yeah.
If you don't agree with the game, if you don't agree with what they're doing, if you don't agree with microtransactions, if you don't agree with the DLC, do not buy it.
Also, don't be afraid to, like I said, don't be afraid to review bomb.
For sure.
You don't need to. It's the consumer's voice.
Mm-hmm.
If you truly are like, this is fucked up, why is this a thing? It's the same thing of like calling a company, writing a letter, giving you are able to be like, yeah, I'm not going to play this game because of this.
For sure.
I think there needs to be the understanding of you can't shit talk on other people for wanting it though.
Yes.
That
is their choice.
Yeah.
If they've been looking forward to that game for the longest time, let them enjoy it. Everyone has their things.
Yeah, I know that's been that is an issue I've seen before, which is you pay for that. It's like, but I want to. If
it is not personally hurting you or the people around you, don't fucking bother somebody else about something they buy. You might not like it personally. So what?
Yeah.
Who fucking cares? Is it ruining your day? Is it ruining your time upon this earth for that person to go buy a sloppy Joe? Really?
Yeah. And if it is, check yourself.
Yeah, really.
Check how you are feeling. Because I've been watching Dragon's Dogma 2 with its DLC and performance issues. I've seen some comments that have been, some people shitting on other people for buying the game, for purchasing the transactions, or for just enjoying the game itself. I mean, the one YouTuber I watched made that comment of, he did an early take on it. He had 13 hours into the game, and he made a little 4-minute video of hey, this is what my thoughts are on it right now. And in the stream he made that joke of like, I know that video isn't going to do well because people are just hating the game in general right now, which means they're going to hate anyone that is enjoying the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you can hate it, just don't hate other people for enjoying it.
Sadly, we can go on and on about it, but there are assholes, there are idiots, and there are people with a very narrow perspective. And no matter what we say on it, you know, guaranteed if the show was more popular, you're going to get blasted for your opinions on fucking microtransactions.
100%.
Like, 100%.
Because everyone chooses to hate microtransactions.
Yes. So it's a, like...
That's what I meant to say. God damn it. Microtransactions are a tool. They are, you know, it's the same, you know, a knife can't kill someone. Someone using the knife can, but like, you know, that's how I view microtransactions. They are just a thing. They cannot be harmful in itself. How they are utilized by companies or by people is what makes them harmful.
Yes. Semi-agree. It also is dependent on how easily accessible it is.
That's true. And, you know, microtransactions are greater. Well, no, because knives are the same thing. Like, my brain first thing was like, it's very popular. You see kids accidentally spend a lot of money. What's stopping a kid from climbing on the counter and grabbing a knife? Nothing. It is understanding. It is being taught that things aren't okay.
Yes. And again, it depends on how easily accessible it is. That is why I think it doesn't need to go away. It just needs to be restricted.
Yeah. It's why I'm glad my parents locked, like, I think I had an iPhone when I was a kid, but even like the store behind a password. You know, it doesn't, because it's the, if it's easily accessible, then you can do it. But for at least youth, the minors, at a certain age, it's like, no, put it behind a password, then the parent has to agree, because I doubt it's going to be the kid's actual money.
Yeah.
Being like, no, that is a level of restricted, I understand. But then we go into minors themselves, which is a whole nother conversation of what do you allow access for them. But yeah, it's an infinite topic.
It is, because there's a lot that it can imply to.
Yeah.
Because the topic really is more about, like, the pricing of gaming and everything is different than, like, the kind of roundabout topic that we are talking about, which is restriction and personal freedom.
Yeah. Which is too big of a topic. So I was like,
it is way too broad of a topic, and again, a little bit too political for this show.
It is, yeah. But I was like, I've been seeing pricing, and DLC was a great way to start into it, but ultimately, it is pricing within video game companies, and the justification, you know, what they choose, what we give. But yeah, it's such a fun topic, because there's no yes or no.
No.
And you could change someone's mind, but you can't really change someone's mind. You know, you're going to hate microtransactions for the rest of your lives. Doesn't matter how well I dictate my words.
Yeah. There are people who are stubborn.
Yeah.
I myself am a stubborn person about some things.
Yeah.
I think I am open-minded about most things, but I just know myself personally, and I know that there are things that I will stand and die on that hill for.
Yeah. And
will passionately rant and talk about forever. So.
Amen.
Anyhow, for you guys at home, you now kind of see our points, see where we stand personally on any of these. Where do you stand? Like, comment below. Like, let us know, like, how you feel about it. Like, do you agree with us? Do you not agree with us? Tell us why.
Try to think about it.
Try to think about it.
It's so easy just to be like, I hate them because that's what I've been told to hate. And it's like, do you hate them? Are you a person that splurges ever so slightly into microtransactions or DLCs themselves?
Definitely. Be influenced, but have your own thoughts.
Yeah, 100%. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon.
I hate it every time.
I have to do it. It's so fun. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell icon so that way you get notified every time we upload. Mostly every Monday.
It is a lesser evil I will allow you to do. I'll allow it. Don't mean I like it.
Oh, I don't even do it. I just do it because you hate it. It's just so fun. But yeah, do you know what you're doing next week?
I think I had one, but since we've had a couple of weeks, I think it slipped me, so I'll have to think about it.
Yeah.
Might not be as loose as this one. I think we might have a little more
structure. Yeah, because a lot of our episodes is very heavy research, and it's very much like, hey, this is this topic, let me just kind of read and talk about it. Mm-hmm. But in the name of this podcast, there are a few episodes where I'm like, I just want to rant.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want notes to be like, in 1942, this was made at 6...
For sure.
Yeah. I'm like, what do you feel?
This is definitely one of the more freeing episodes, because this is... I mean, this was just personal.
Yeah. It was a needless, endless rant.
It really was.
About dumb shit.
Yeah, it really was. God, this is what the show is all about. I don't know. Maybe this might need to be the structure. Just kind of like some notes, but more improv-y, kind of like ranting.
After the first couple episodes, I'm leaning into more enjoying these talks, because this is what we built this podcast for.
For sure.
But it's also fun to have those episodes where it's like, hey, let me just rant about, the timeline of the Aliens universe. Mm-hmm. And just like how fucking weird it is, and how everyone's an ancestor or a child of Ripley. Like, it's Ellen Ripley. It's like, it makes no sense.
Yep.
But, yeah, no. If you've got no idea, then I think it's a great time to end off.
Think about it throughout the week. Yeah. I'll get something.
I guess we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.